It's the morning show with Eric Von Hessler. I'm Eric Von Hessler, and I'm not alone, thankfully. Autumn Fisher is with me. There she is right there.
Hello.
She's having a bad pregnancy day. This one ought to be interesting. She may actually give birth during the show today. Our friend Michael Albanese cannot be with us this morning because he is traveling back from New York City. Just left. We were going to try to say hi to him at the top of the show, and he's just now traveling in that little area of New York. He's about to go through Delaware and all that kind of stuff. And if you've ever done that, it's difficult enough to drive without concentrating on a conversation. And there's enough signals in the air around there to scramble just about anything you're trying to do. So we'll try to talk to him later in the show when he's maybe, what would he be, in Jersey somewhere, or maybe even a little further on.
You're getting your geography all wrong because you said he's going to be in Delaware.
Well, that's how I come down. I come down through Delaware, then go down
you're
through
right.
Pennsylvania.
But you go
or
New York,
or,
New York,
right.
Jersey, Delaware for 5 minutes.
Yeah, you're right through it, right.
Into Maryland.
But there's a bridge or a toll or something there that's just absolutely obnoxious at this time in the morning. Right there as you're going through that little
You're just making excuses for a cell phone. We called him. The cell phone sucks.
Stunk. You know what? All cell phones stink. By the way, you're listening to Greg Russ right there. And he is wearing exactly the same shirt that he was wearing when I saw him last night at 9 o'clock. It doesn't look as if he showered or done anything. But he is here. What kind of shirt you got there, Greg?
I don't know, just kind of promotional T-shirt that I found because I need to do laundry.
Something
so I thought that I just wear this for the day as I ship my laundry to the laundromat.
Most people don't watch us on video. Most people listen to us as a podcast. But if you are on video, that's what the shirt says.
It's the morning show with Eric Von Hessler T-shirt. That's what I'm wearing.
Thank you very much. And, Greg modeled it yesterday
and kept it on. Actually slept in it also.
Well, how was it? Is it a good shirt to sleep in?
It's a good shirt. It's soft.
Yeah.
A lot of times with these shirts that you get the radio station, and you've got different sizes, which is nice.
Yeah, because that doesn't look like a huge promotional shirt that you normally get that's like XL.
Well, we got two sizes, and this might be a problem. I didn't want to get, I'm doing this whole thing on economy of scale, and I'm trying not to be stupid about things. So I wanted to get, what's the first run that I got? I got like 50 shirts in there, 100. How many? I don't even remember.
Where's the packing slip?
It's certainly not. I think it's 50.
Yeah.
Because I just didn't want to overdo it, and I thought even if we like them, maybe we want a different shirt or something like that to later on down the line.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know what to get. If I got each size, how many. So what I did was I kind of went in the middle of both. I went with medium, and then I think it's double extra large, right? So if you
have medium and XXL.
you just kind of gauged. Oh, well, that'll cover most people.
Well, no, what I'm thinking is if you wear small, a medium T-shirt, you can still, you can get away with that. And then anything else above that, you can wear the double extra. The double extra large is not huge. It's not like a tent.
Okay.
It's,
because that sounds huge. What's the double XL look like?
The double XLs are fantastic because you have the really hot girl wear your shirt. And and it's kind of big
jammies.
fur.
She's wearing his jammies.
It comes down to almost her knees, and that's the kind of thing I was looking for.
You're hoping
I want to get my fans. I want them to have some really good sex in my shirts. That would honor me and it would honor the show.
Let's see.
There's the double XL. See, it's not huge.
Oh yeah,
huge.
it doesn't look huge.
No, it doesn't look like something that
for me.
Yeah, but I mean, if you are,
this would be skin tight for Albanese.
Yeah,
this would be something they got from Top Man, some Urban Outfitters or some place that sells the
it'll seem like. Can you not
fitted clothes?
Roll them up and toss them back into the box? We're going to try to sell a few of these. We have to figure out how to sell them, though.
Yeah, how are you going to sell them?
Well, I don't know. We were thinking about, you were saying try to put them on Amazon maybe, because that way we double dip. If you buy them off of Amazon, not only do we get the money, but then we get that little kickback that Amazon gives us.
Yeah.
And so if that's not too much of a pain in the ass, we're going to try to set that one up.
I've sold books on Amazon before, but I don't know
that you wrote? You're an author? I had no idea.
Yes, my graphic novels.
I had no idea.
Hey, a lot of people are authors now. Published authors because of Amazon selling their ebooks.
Right.
So don't shit on it.
I'm not shitting on it. There
are real good stories on there.
Of course there are. How do you know which ones are good? That's what I don't understand is how do you know without publishers behind something and saying, this is a really good book, we're going to try to sell it. If you're just going through the Kindle or whatever and there's books up there by people you never heard of, I'm sure some of them are quite good, right? They just, got rejected because they're not the shades of gray. Like when you're writing, it's like anything else. If you don't write a book that is about or somewhere in the genre that's selling right now. So if it's not zombies, vampires,
or diet,
but those are like self-help stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, in the normal sort of storybooks, like right now, you want to have written a really good if you write a really good book, it doesn't mean you're going to be published. But if you write a really good book that's something like 50 Shades of Grey, you're going to get published.
Right.
Because they know there's a market for that, and you can download 50 Shades of Grey, and then Amazon could say, you also might be interested in this other book about women who like to be tied up.
Yeah.
And then, you get in on that whole thing. How do you, the people who publish themselves, how do you find them? I'm not going to go through just random, authors and read 80 pages to find out whether or not the book's good.
Do you mean who are self-published?
Self-published. How do you find them? I mean, as people always say to me, hey, Eric, you should take your show and you should put it on Sirius satellite radio. All right, seems like a good idea. How do I promote that? Out of the 1,000 stations, I want you to, hey, I'm 758.
But that's here's the weird point you're making there. It's the opposite. Go to Sirius. It's a little, I don't want to say. It's more professional than this operation. I'm trying to find a nice way to put it.
No, it is. No, there's legitimacy.
It's a little more credible.
Yeah.
Than doing a podcast out of the basement. And don't get me wrong, because yes, I agree that we're doing a good show. But you get on Sirius, publishing your own ebook on Amazon, and anyone does that. So what you're saying, to get to Sirius, you at least have to have a product to get mixed and lost in the thousands of shows.
You have to be accepted. There's a review board that says no, yes. Whereas with
Amazon,
you get
to put Gandhi in Hell up as a book.
That sounds pretty good.
Written by a Christian. Get it?
Oh,
that's the author's name.
So it turns out that Gandhi went to hell because he's not a Christian.
Do good people go to hell, or is it just that bad people are in hell? This book will seek to answer why Gandhi is in hell and why he deserves to be in hell.
Well, he did. Wasn't he a wife beater?
Yeah, I mean,
no. This guy's he's saying that it doesn't matter how good you are if you're not of the faith. He's basically. I don't have to read this book to know where he stands. It doesn't matter how good you are. If Charlie Manson on his deathbed accepts Jesus Christ as his personal savior and he's sincere about it, he will go to heaven and Gandhi will go to hell because Gandhi picked the wrong guy.
Right.
That's what he's thinking.
Well, I was going to say.
You were going to say something about self-publishing, I believe.
No, it was about Sirius. Like, I feel like being on Sirius, I would not listen to a talk show on Sirius.
That's because when you're driving, you don't listen to talk shows.
I listen to podcasts because I can stop it, go forward, go back later. I can do it at my leisure and with.
I think if you're doing it all though, in the context of this show, if you have it as a podcast and it's on Sirius somewhere, why not?
Do both? You mean?
Yeah, because what you would do, I assume, with Sirius for us is we would do the show, submit it to them, and then probably air a day later on their satellite network.
I feel like we would get more hits off of being a podcast than we would on Sirius.
That's the other thing. If you're making your money off of downloads and whatever, then if you show up somewhere else where that can't be quantified, but maybe that can. I don't know. Does Sirius know
subscribers?
How many? Sirius probably knows who's.
But I listen to like the same stations over and over. I don't troll around.
Do you subscribe to individual stations on Sirius?
No.
You just subscribe to the whole thing. So I don't know if they can break it down. They must be able to break it down.
I have a feeling with Sirius, they're not paying for a lot of these shows, or if they are, it's very little. So if you were to go on and if they were going to air your show and you still plug the podcast, they probably wouldn't have a problem with it.
Right.
That's what I'm guessing. I could be completely wrong.
Well, I guess I'll pass along those numbers that you gave to me.
But they have a lot of content to fill. They have a lot of content to fill. So
they got 3,000 stations. There's 24 hours in a day.
So
365 days a year.
So if they're getting shows for free, let's say they didn't pay much, or if they didn't pay anything, like we'll air it and you can benefit because it's just another outlet for the show.
Another outlet, as long as it can be quantified, though, because I wouldn't want to cannibalize downloads and then not be able to count them.
Why are we talking about this like we're really going to go to Sirius?
Because he's trying to convince me to, and he knows some people.
Oh, really?
There. He gave me some numbers a few weeks ago, and I've ignored him, and I think he yelled at me yesterday, and that's why it's in my head.
Yeah, well, I got a little annoyed, too, because he's like, well, I don't want to go to Sirius because of this, because it's like publishing your book on Amazon, ebook. I was like, I don't think it's really the same there.
I see.
No, what we're doing now is like publishing a book on Amazon.
I think this is better.
No, I agree. Look, I've been turned around about it. You know this. I've been completely turned around about this. I'm very much into the podcasting world. We're doing several shows a day sometimes here now because I recognize that it's not the live at the moment kind of broadcast that the radio show was, simply because people could be listening to something for the first time 4 weeks from now because they just discovered us because of the archive. So I'm really getting into the podcast thing. But I don't think it's mutually exclusive. You could also be doing the Sirius thing with the same show.
Right.
It's just you reach out to more people. And maybe somebody will give me $10 on Patreon. By the way, yes, these T-shirts, of course, are here.
Yeah.
So
if you're a donor for $150
Well, I think it's 25.
50 and 25?
I don't know what it is, but I know that I drove myself crazy for two things. One that I was late on. One was getting T-shirts and bumper stickers because I promised them to certain levels on Patreon.
Right.
And the other thing was getting my newsletter out because I promised that to certain people. And the newsletter was just really difficult for me to think of something. I like what it became, but it was difficult for me to put that together. And I finally got it out there. And I didn't even realize that all of that was for 9 people or 12 people,
12.
which is important.
Yeah, definitely.
It's important. Those are people like at the $100 a month level and things like that. I mean, it's important that they get what they need. But I didn't realize I was driving myself crazy for 12 people. And
you're welcome, 12 people.
You're welcome, 12 people. It's really stressed me out. I hope you're happy with yourselves. I hate to start a show talking about pubic hair, but I'm going to. Because it's on the top of my mind, because it was like one of the last things that Autumn and I spoke about before we actually went live, or live to tape, or live to zeros and ones, or whatever you want to say, live to digital that we do.
The important thing here is live.
It's live. Yeah,
it's
we do it live.
Recorded live.
We don't. I was going to go back. A couple weeks ago. I think I told you
edit.
I was going to edit a few things out because I thought I was being petty, which I was.
Yeah.
But then I didn't because. What the hell? You gotta live
put it out there.
You gotta live with your words and deal with it. And how do you learn? And
You're making a point of philosophy.
My point is that
advice.
if I get in the habit of editing things out that I would be embarrassed for people to hear, then I'll know in the back of my mind that I can be as extreme as I want live, but I can take it out later, and then it becomes a whole thing, and then it's not real anymore. So no editing whatsoever. There never has been any editing, but I did think about it a couple times. I think the Jimmy Kimmel thing and the Corolla thing, I felt like afterwards, like, you kind of petty asshole. But, sometimes I'm a petty asshole, and that's part of the show, right? And sometimes I'm a lovable guy who has no problems with anybody, and that's just part of it.
Less so these days. But
you don't think I'm a lovable guy?
It's still there.
I feel like I'm a lovable guy. I think that I've become, I'm enamored with myself these days. I think I'm wonderful, to be quite honest with you. I think I'm a great person to be around. I very rarely... I'm maybe a little curmudgeon-y, but I think...
I'm trying to text Michael to see if we can get him on the show. You're always on the phone, you kids these days. With your texting.
I mean, Greg, you walk in at 8 o'clock and whatever, 8:50, you're usually late, 8:30, whatever you walked in on. And
late. I got 8:15. The latest I've ever been here is 8:30, and that's not even late because we don't even start the show at 9 now. Hey, we need to get going. It's 9 o'clock. Shut up. We don't need to start at 9 anymore.
No, that was before though. When you.
This was when we were started. When we were doing everything.
Did we ever start late because of me? Did we ever not have everything set up ready to go?
Well, late. You're talking about late for the show starting at 9. He's talking about turning on the cameras by 8:15.
Turning on the cameras, getting all settled in, that sort of thing. I don't like to be rushed. I like to have 45 minutes of just calm time, get ready for the show. I don't like to run around like a chicken with my head cut off until 5 minutes before we go on.
Still drawing the comparison that texting has something to do with that. I'm late because I don't get up.
Okay.
The alarm goes off and I hit snooze 6 times.
But what happens is you are immediately in contact with your loved one. And this is my point. This is how it's supposed to go. I know that you're new to this, like actually caring about the person you're sleeping with. I know this is new to you. So I want to help you through it. When in the morning, when you kiss each other, you say goodbye, that means you're not going to be in contact for a few hours. It's sort of, and it's kind of good that way because then when you see each other again, you've got so much, look what you do. When you see each other at 5 o'clock at night or whatever, there's no catching up. All day long, we all knew what we were doing with each other. I let them know. I had a smoothie at noon. I let her know.
Yeah, that's
so
what I do.
You can't say, hey, what'd you do today? Oh, I had the greatest smoothie at noon. You can't bring each other up.
Let that happen naturally, though. He's in his love bubble.
That is true.
Yeah.
And I'm happy about that.
Yes, me too.
I'm very happy about that.
I'm texting her right now. Eric is being an asshole. Sent.
But, just because you're in love
you really say that
doesn't mean that you have to...
It's really been sent.
Just because you're in love, communication is important, but she doesn't have to know I just stopped at the Chevron and got a thing.
I get that.
And a fill-up.
And then I think you're exaggerating it in your head. It's not really like that. The one, I didn't see her this morning. I tried to sleep last night, but I couldn't alone, and I ended up watching RoboCop, the new one.
Maybe.
No, I was very tired.
Wait, hold on, you put on the new RoboCop and you still couldn't go to sleep?
I thought that would help put me to sleep. I was like, I'll put on the new RoboCop and I'll pass out. No, I really got into it. It was one of those bootleg versions, but a very well done. Sound was good.
When you say
camera
bootleg,
was steady.
Camera
was steady.
In a movie theater?
Yes, in a theater. But whoever did this was very good.
How are you not busted? I mean, the theater's got to be in on it. How can you have a camera, unless it's like on your, maybe it's like on his hat.
Ooh.
Or
No, there's
something.
no movement, so it's set up on some kind of
Like a little
tripod
tripod.
or
How is that not
stabilization system has been
You
built.
could be like up, but you could go in the middle of the day or something when there's no one there.
But that's when you'd be more likely to be noticed. Is that there's nobody there? They just gotta walk in and look at the three people. Guy up on front. There's a tripod in front of him.
Maybe it's like the.
How can you have a tripod anywhere and not be noticed?
I'm not sure.
The theaters have to. They're getting something. There's a kickback or something. There's a. I
But
guarantee you,
aren't the people
there's a few theaters around the country where they got a little gig going on.
Possibly, and the people that work there, I mean, they're like 15-year-old kids. Like they're not. Gonna
Not the
care.
projectionist. Old Gus up
Oh,
in the
but they don't
projection
see
booth.
anything. They're not looking down.
Not in my theater.
Are there even projectionists anymore? It's all, a
I
lot
think
of it's
our
digital.
friend of the show,
Well, it's digital, but somebody has
Philip
to.
Presley,
You
I think,
press
is a
play?
projectionist.
Really? Well,
Yeah.
there you go. A projectionist. I mean, you have to have somebody who's makes sure that whatever
Yeah,
format
it's
it's in,
played,
it sticks
but you're not
on
loading up reels of film anymore.
No.
Are
But they
not?
are.
I
But they
thought
got
that
to.
They did have real, like big canisters of movies.
Well, it
didn't they?
depends on where. It depends on where you're going.
Yeah.
And also, some directors, this isn't going digital at all. They keep it on film.
a lot of
Sure.
stuff is
Michael
well,
Bay's big into that. He's very into the quality of his filmmaking.
Yeah, but pretty soon he's not going to have any place to show them. But they do still have.
That's not even true. I don't think Michael Bay cares. That was the point.
Well, he's
I
the
thought he
Pearl
did
Harbor
care.
guy.
He's the big explosion guy. He's
Yeah,
like,
He
he
was
didn't-
molested by an explosion, so now he has to relive his trauma. Over
What's
and over.
what's his face? Quentin Tarantino so far, I think, was not films completely on shoots on film and keeps it on film all the way. But then it gets digital at some point. I think that they still have after a while. Pretty soon, though, I don't know how it works. Like 4K, the theater down the street has got two of the viewing area. What do you call it? Two of the theaters inside the multiplex. I mean, a theater in a theater. Two of the theaters in the multiplex are 4K equipped.
What
So
is 4K?
4K is the next generation of HD.
Oh,
And that's purely digital. So
4K.
so that's shot on 4K then shown on 4K. So some places are still using film, I guess, but it's usually shot digital and then they put it on film to send it to the theaters. But I think that's going away. It's going to be all digital very soon. Why the hell are we talking about this? How
I
did we
don't
get on?
remember.
How did we get here?
Greg
this
was
is
I wanted to
this
talk
is
about
what
pubes.
happens.
I wanted to talk about pubes.
With the texting, though, yes, you're right. In general, anyone who's texting constantly is very annoying. And sometimes I want to have thoughtful responses. That's all. I don't want to.
I'm the same way.
I'm
I
not
don't-
sending, hey, I'm having a smoothie now. It's not writing something like that.
No.
Trying to think of something that has some kind of meaning to it. That's all.
What are you guys texting about so early in the morning?
Things.
Good morning.
Yep.
Do you have little poopy poops talk on the little
Schmoopy poops, you mean?
Snoopy snacks?
Hey,
With a lot of
sweetie.
emojis, yes.
Oh, thank you for bringing that up.
Am I sending you too
Are you
many emojis?
Oh,
I love them.
Please. I hate
By the way,
them.
I want to for
They
me
are
because
text graffiti.
I want to get into this, but I want for the record, no emoticons, no emojis, no
Right.
whatever you call it, a poopy shoopy.
Schmoopy.
You don't go,
Schmoopy.
hey,
No.
slippy slew.
It doesn't happen. Okay. All
Okay.
right, emojis.
What is the reason? Do you believe that I don't know what point of view you're coming from? That I have to have a thumbs up or some kind of thing?
I think
This
it's
is-
fun.
So it's a girly thing then, right? I mean,
No, sometimes it's just fun. Like you can make a funny little story. Like I sent Travis sent me a message about something he felt guilty about, and so he put in 1 million cats. Like he just put
Right.
cat. And I said, "Are those guilt cats?" And he said, "Yes." And so then I sent him back the same message with cats, but with guns. So they were all going to be shot. I was going to shoot all the cats. So it's like funny. Or you can say like, here's a little face. It gets more and more sad looking, and then there's a
Right.
gun, and then an explosion, and then there's a skull.
but you don't see that the reality here is that very soon there will be no language left. It's
That's
just going to
fine.
be pictures and imagery.
Do you hate the Egyptians for their hieroglyphs?
Never liked it. Would you want to live there with the thing with the eyes and all the stuff
Yeah.
and people painting
Raw.
on the rocks all the time? And no, I would not. I'd like that. I think the development of language. My wife just got into the digital age about a year ago.
Uh-huh.
She has a computer. She has a smartphone. And she's decided that when she's texting, she doesn't have to make any sense whatsoever. Not
What
only
did she
is
say?
she doing the where you abbreviate everything, but not based on any standard whatsoever. Just
Yeah.
what
She's
her
making it up.
abbreviation will be. Right.
Cute.
So I This is when I was in South by Southwest. Remember that? When I was in South by Southwest, remember the guy got shot?
Yeah,
not
yeah,
shot.
yeah.
The guy got killed.
He got
A couple
run
people
over?
got run over. So I wrote her, just checking in. I'm safe. There was a bit of a tragedy here last night. That's making the news. I was a block away in a club when it happened. I'm having fun, but that incident kind of ruined a great evening.
Sure.
This is what I got back.
I'm excited.
I'm so busy, broke T short. F Kathleen last night, Debs till 11 talking to F. Morning hit another snag. EPH looking up to TF me.
What does it mean?
I wrote her back. Are you using the English language? Because I could only make out something about short. I mean,
What did that mean?
And then she wrote me back and said, had my first webinar. Weird. I have no idea. And I tried to talk to her about this, and she says, no, everybody does that in texting. It's like, no, but there's still a standard. LOL means laugh out. There's a standard there. You can't just make up your own abbreviations and expect people to know what the hell you're talking about.
So what she's doing is that she's validating the standard that I hate, the standard that has taken language and brought it down
whatever
to this
it means
level.
to me.
Yeah, it's like, well, this makes sense. This is what we get to do in texting. We get to write like this. We get to shorten words and use abbreviations and the stuff I can't stand. But when you have something like that going on, like, please use just the standard text English. I will allow that.
What about
That's anarchy, right? That is great grammatical anarchy.
What about something like FYI or ASAP?
That's fine.
Or
ASAP was always something, and FYI was too.
FYI was always something before text.
right, but LOL is something.
LOL comes from...
I don't say LOL personally.
LOL I don't think started with texting. It started with comment sections.
Well, that's the
chat
same thing.
rooms.
right. Chat rooms.
That's the same thing.
Same deal, right?
Yeah.
The texting
ASL.
language was created in chat rooms.
Well, the reason why the emojis exist, right, is because it's really hard to tell emotion or whatever through text.
Sarcasm is very difficult through text.
Yeah.
When you're
so you
reading
need
something,
that, like,
it's like, what?
Like
She thinks I'm
sideways
fat?
mouth face.
I don't mind that. I'm used to that. I'm used to the sideways mouth face. It says, okay, this was sarcastic. I wasn't real. Or LOL, even as much as I hate it, it says this was a sarcastic point of view, or haha, or whatever, is sarcastic point of view, and that's fine. But the, what are they called?
Emoji. Because it's emotion.
Yeah.
And then G.
That is text graffiti. There's no reason for it to be there. It looks childish. I always think that I'm at a child's birthday party when I see that stuff. It looks like the kind of imagery that you would see in a kindergarten room.
You don't like it? Get an Android. She sends you emojis on the Android. Just get a box.
I have sent you 4 emojis
Lately.
with plenty of text along
No,
with
I know,
it.
but the thing is, that is just...
And
it's
my
not-
last one was clever as fuck.
You have to for autumn.
Because it was a bullseye, and I was nailing something.
Yeah, I didn't know what that
Oh.
meant. I didn't know what that
Nailing.
meant. I was like, why did she put a bullseye? I didn't even know it was a bullseye.
'Cause I said-
Now that you
'cause-
say it was a bullseye, I realize it was a bullseye. But
Yeah.
I didn't know. It's a quarter of a quarter of a quarter of a quarter of a hair of an inch wide. How am I
Sorry,
supposed to know what the hell?
old man can't see the emojis.
Well, that's right. Maybe it's just
The emojis
it's hard
fit
for me.
They fit Autumn's personality, her demeanor. Like
It
she,
does,
I was
that's true.
I was looking back at the text here, and she sent me something
What
just
did I
about
send
the
you?
show, and then just put a monkey at the end of it.
Yep.
Yes.
She has monkey heads hanging from her rear view mirror, and they've been there for a decade. So yes,
That's true.
When I see a monkey in a text and it's autumn, I'm like, it's fitting. I don't even think about it. There's no second
I'm
thought.
going to give girls a break because it seems like a girly thing. But if a guy, and I don't think anybody I know as a guy has hit me up with the emojis. But if you're a guy who's hitting up with an emoji, it's just like, okay, he was an emo, now he's a hipster, still has no spine.
I think
still
Travis
has no
sends
spine.
emojis.
Here's a guy whose girlfriend / wife is running his life. If a guy is sending me emojis, if you're a guy and you're sending any other guy emojis, you are a sissy.
Now, my husband
Whatever
does
that
love
means.
his best friend. Like, they're in love. That's like his gay husband.
Okay.
And they send each other
Do they have
emojis,
sex
I'm
together?
sure.
Because
If they did, I would not be shocked.
really?
Yes.
Hey, did you hear about Mars last night?
He
Turn me on.
they say I love you too.
Those guys
you know?
that I say I love you to.
Yeah.
That happens. It didn't happen with me until I started to get older.
Yeah.
And
Well, you
then
start
you start
not
losing
worrying.
friends, and then you start realizing, I better tell this guy I
I
love
love
him.
you. I
or
really love you.
You may not know that I love him.
This is the last time I'm gonna see you.
But it's weird. The word love has many. It's a shading kind of thing. When I say I love a guy friend, it's not the way that I say I love you to my wife. You know what I mean?
You don't stare into the eyes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I never went through, the love bubble that Greg's in right now. I
And,
never went through that with my guy friends.
That's
We were
true.
always just friends, and then after time, you realize, oh, you know what? I love this guy.
Right.
Soften your voice.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hi.
You have to Hey, babe.
All right.
You ever done something with
I
a guy?
speak like this normally, and then I look at my girl. Hi.
You ever have a day with a friend, like you're just spending the day together, and until the end of the day, as a guy, well, you're not a guy, so this wouldn't happen.
I totally know.
Girls
that.
are allowed to be a little bit homo anyway, but even the other day with a guy, did we just have a date? It just seems like
Yeah.
we went to dinner, we saw a movie.
It's called a man date.
Yeah, it's like, but I mean, I hate that whole man stuff.
It's just called hanging out.
Right, that's what it should be. I hate man put in front of anything. You know, it's like
Man cave.
It's
That's
my
the one.
man cave.
If you ever called this basement that we're broadcasting from before the man cave, I couldn't do it.
No,
Because you used to have a
it makes me
couch
think of,
and a projector in here, and you'd watch movies in here, and you could have conceivably called it a man cave.
That's
and if
right.
it was ever called that, it would never come in here, and I wouldn't come back.
First of all, when everybody says man cave, I think of anal stuff.
That's what's what I think.
I think of like a nickname for a male vagina, if those exist. Are there male vaginas out there?
That's the butthole.
Okay, so a man cave. That would be like the nickname. Hey,
Yeah.
let me get up inside of your man cave.
Yeah.
So to me, the name man cave sounds horrible, and I just hate that whole concept. It's not liberating and it's not freeing to say that she's allowing me to have this thing.
Yeah.
No, I'll watch whatever the fuck I want to watch because I was born on this planet with my own brain, and I know what I want to fucking watch. And I didn't marry somebody so they could tell me I could or couldn't do anything. That's why I don't like the man
But
cave.
how much of that
hold
is-
on, I got to finish this. The man cave comes with her permission, and that's the problem
This
with
is
it.
my
It's
space
not
I'm
manly
allowed
at
to
all.
have.
But
It's
that's
not-
the marketing. I was going to say, how much of that's created by the marketing
Probably.
within
Yeah.
the company selling the products that go into the man cave? I mean, that's the big thing on TV anyway with relationships. It plays on certain stereotypes of it and exaggerates them, and the next thing you know, everyone's a ball and chain, and you get your man cave
And
with
everything-
your lazy boy recliner
Yeah.
and a
And your
cooler
hand in
that
your
looks
pants.
like a guitar amp. Go to hell.
No, you're right.
Guitar amp cooler. Like, if you want a cooler,
Because I'm a man.
one having a cooler by your couch is pretty trashy, if you ask me. But if you want to have it, just have the cooler. But no, it's cool because it looks like a Marshall amp.
This is why I never got into the man show, and I'm not going to go after Adam and Jimmy. But back
better
then,
not.
when I was around back then and knew those guys back then when all that was going on, when they were at K-Rock, and then they did the pilot for the man show and everything. And Jimmy used to always go on about how, well, the whole world's being Oprah-sized and we need man stuff and whatever. And I never got into it because I never have ever felt, but the whole thing in the 90s, the angry white male and all this kind of stuff, I've never felt oppressed in this country because I'm male or because I'm white. Or I always felt like I could do pretty much anything I wanted to. I never, I didn't watch Oprah. I just ignored the things that I didn't. And I think the reason that I've been with the same person for 27 years is in all those 27 years, I have never once enjoyed myself because she allowed me to.
Right.
You get together because you're not the same types of people, but you got enough in common and you dig each other and you want to take the journey together. But that doesn't give one spouse the right to tell the other one, you're not watching football this Sunday. Well, fuck you. I'm no longer your husband on Monday. That's my response. Or the whole idea, well, you can watch football on Sunday, but we have to go do that pottery thing on Tuesday. No, I'm watching football on Sunday and you're doing your pottery thing by yourself because I have no interest in pottery. Now, if you wanted to do something on Tuesday that we both have an interest in,
right.
I'm not going to make you sit down and watch football. I'm not interested in that, and you're not going to make me do what you want to do because you know what? That's false. Because I'm going to be at the pottery place for you with a fake smile pretending, and that's not good for a relationship.
I hear that, and I don't think that I would ask Travis to do something just for me, but it is nice for someone to do something for you just for you. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah.
I don't want
But
to
that's gotta
go
be
to
my
this
idea.
play, but I want to take you to the play.
But that should be my idea.
Yeah.
I'm a grown up. I'm a human being. I'm
Right,
in a
but
relation. I
you-
recognize it's nice to be nice to people, but let me decide that. But it's not.
This is how you are thinking, though, and
Right.
a lot of guys might not think that way, and over time take something for granted. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Oh, she just goes off on her own and does her own thing. I do my own thing, and then all of a sudden you're not even friends anymore.
But you would know that because you wouldn't like being around each other. You know when you're
No,
not
but you
friends
could still
with
be.
people.
You could still like being around each other,
Right.
But you've lost common interests now because you're no longer involved in each other's lives.
There may be a danger to that, but my argument is that it never was common interest if I'm only at the Pottery Barn or whatever, wherever you go to do the what do you do the pottery
I don't know,
stuff? You know what I'm thinking of. There's a place where it was a
And you
big thing a few
painted
years
and-
ago, and
yeah.
everybody was a thing for about 6 months or something.
Right.
And my point is that there's nothing about that that's real if I'm only there because this is what I had to do in order to be able to watch football on Sunday.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you made the point, Autumn, that sometimes it's nice to set something up and try to surprise the person, but you know what they like. If you used a play as an example,
Yeah.
hey, I got these tickets for the play, but Travis, I know that he likes going to plays sometimes. You would also know if he hated doing pottery, and you said, hey, we got a pottery class, or if it's something that really wouldn't interest him at all, you probably
Yeah.
wouldn't set it up. So
I look
But
at
a lot of
it's
wives
nice
do
to do
that.
things like that.
No, they must, because I look at all of the couples advertising is set up like this, and I look at it and I think, man, my relationship must be just very different from, because they wouldn't do this advertising if it didn't resonate with people, if it didn't affect, like, you're supposed to see yourself in advertising, right?
Right.
There's a problem, and here's a solution for my
There's
problem.
a market for whoever they're advertising to.
And it's almost all of the couple type of advertising is like as if it's some sort of trade-off. I'm not in a horse trading business with my wife. We're together because we dig each other and we want to be together. We want to live our lives together.
Right.
But I don't want to sit around, quite frankly, with a lot of the people that she wants to sit around with. But that doesn't mean I don't want to sit around with her.
It's set up that way now. People, I think, are taking their cues from it. So like, oh, my life matches this, so everything's fine. Because I see this on TV, and that's the way it's supposed to be. So no big deal.
Well, yeah.
When in reality, there is a problem going on.
You should never, ever bargain with your girlfriend or wife. You should either agree or disagree, but you shouldn't bargain. Because if somebody is saying, I want you to do something that I know you don't want to do, well, what the hell are you with that person for? I got parents, right? I got parents already. I don't need another parent.
Bargain maybe is, I'm thinking of...
Negotiate, anything.
No, compromise.
Honey, you want to do that?
Compromise.
No, I don't want to. But then you know what? If you say no too many times as a human being, you start to think, you know what, I'm being a dick. And
but they don't think that.
I do.
I know, but you do, so that's nice. But other people do not.
Then they should break up.
Yeah, but they could work on it, and maybe they could find.
Who wants to work on a relationship? I refuse to work on a relationship. I would never, ever. To me, if at the point that you need to go to counseling, it's already long over.
No,
if I need somebody else, if I need somebody else to come in and arbitrate between me and my wife, that is idiotic. We've known each other forever. What does this person coming in know? That's idiotic to me.
I'm going to argue. I'm going to say if you're going to counseling, things are really bad. You've let them go on too long. It's gotten to the point where you need to go to counseling, and with you,
the point where you need to break up.
I know, but in your mind, you know how to handle it. You have a relationship with your wife, where that's not going to happen. So yes, if you got to the point where you're going to counseling, things are probably pretty bad with you. And I think with most people, it gets to that. You just don't try. Maybe
my wife has no problem saying, Eric, you're being an asshole. You've been an asshole for the last 2 weeks. And then if
that's the relationship you have, and that's why it works.
And then if I think about it and go, you know what, I have been an asshole for the last couple of weeks. That's not giving in or anything. That's just acknowledging the fact that I'm a human being and I've been an asshole for the last couple of weeks.
You compromise. I know for a fact you went to a dinner a few weeks ago you didn't want to because she wanted you to go. So don't.
Yeah, but I had my own reasons. You also know that. I had my own. I had my own angle.
You still would have
gone.
gone.
No, you're right.
You're talking about your personal relationship and how you and Jane work together, and that's not how everybody works.
But
you
that's,
are
you know why
lucky that you've
is?
struck this balance, and that you both are the type of people where she
We're
can say to you, "Well, right," but okay, it's not about. I'm sure that at some point, right, there's going to be a time in the relationship where both of you have taken it really easy, right? You've started to really relax, and then something happens where you start growing apart, and you do need someone, and maybe there's some anger in there, you know what I mean?
There
somehow.
may be.
So now having someone, a mediator, is not going to come in and say that they know more about your relationship than you do, but they might know more about behavior than you do. So they're going to come in and say something like, well, Eric, you're being, not you, but you're being a little bit close-minded to her ideas, and she's trying to, like, maybe you're just blind to her emotional state or something.
It may be effective.
Yeah.
But to me, when you get to that point, it's over.
No,
you don't
it have to be
you don't have that relationship that you had when you first met and you fell in love.
But maybe they could fix it, and then it could
crazy
go back
about each
to
other.
that.
Yeah, you can't bottle lightning twice.
Oh yes,
you cannot bottle lightning twice.
It's
what you
there.
Can do,
it's still there. It's just the tiny little.
Sometimes it's not there. Sometimes people don't want to stick together anymore. Sometimes he's gained a bunch of weight or she's gained a bunch of weight or whatever. Do they deal with that kind of stuff in counseling? Like, you know what? I mean, would a man feel comfortable in counseling in front of his wife saying, you know what? She's quite frankly just not nearly as attractive now as she was when I first met her.
Of course you can say that.
Well, that seems pretty mean.
Well, that's what counseling is for. That room, they create an environment where you can say stuff like that. How are you going to
make your dick hard again for something that's not turning you on?
Well, maybe
how are you going to do
never
that?
Thought of that, you know.
For Eric, counseling, it's the end. For some people are never taught even how to exist in a relationship.
Right.
You're left to figure it out on your own, and some people just stop even trying to figure it out, and you just do it.
I think one of the
and
problems.
then it's like you have a better understanding of what you want and what Jane wants, and you two matched up, and everything's going well, and you can get along without having to constantly be on top of each other and do things together. You have that relationship, and most people should. I think that's the ideal relationship, but no one teaches you how to do it. Right. So at some point, you get with someone, you like them, and you neglect it, or you don't know how to express yourself. And so for some idiots, let's say the idiots have to go to counseling. Does that you feel better about that?
I feel better about that, but I think that one of the main problems is, and I only know from the guy's point of view, it's probably from the girl's point of view too. I think far too many people get married because it's time. And they just happen to get
men
married.
Especially.
Men. I think women too, because they want to have babies and all that kind of stuff. I think a lot of times it's like, okay, I'm 20, somewhere between 28 and 35, right? That's and basically you end up getting married to the person who just happened to be your girlfriend or boyfriend at that stage in your life. Mm-hmm. And of course, you're going to grow out of that stage of your life. So it ends up you can't grow together. Mm-hmm. To me, that's the biggest mistake. You should only get married if not getting married would make you crazy. Honestly, that's the only way. You should not get married thinking, well, after time I'll change this about him or her. He or she will settle down. He or she will begin to see things my way. But I think that happens a lot because there's a lot of pressure from mom and dad and whatever. You're 32. We've had a bunch of different girls.
Nice target age.
I'm sorry. No, I believe in your. I've seen you for a long time. I've never seen you act the way you've acted about this girl.
I didn't take it personally.
It's obvious to me that that's a real thing. Now, will you screw it up? That's still 50-50 because you're still you. But I believe that it's real.
I'm trying this time though not to.
No, you're trying.
That means something.
It's only been a few months though. It's only been a few months.
That's also true.
So we never got to pubes. That was the reason I wanted to. I wanted to know with
like
pubes.
I had more to say about this.
Well, go ahead and say it.
I can't remember.
You had kind of a blank stare there for a while. I was talking to you.
I was going to say because something that really needs to be done before people get married. I mean, because getting married is such an industry and such a weird time in your relationship and in your own life, like all of a sudden you're forced to make all of these crazy decisions and you didn't even know you had opinions about. This is what my experience was like, I don't care about what color this whatever thing is, but then when they say
you get married in the middle of the street, I don't care, and then all of a
they'll
sudden
come to you with something like, well, what do you like, this thing or this thing? And you're like, oh, I have a really strong opinion about these two color greens that are just a little bit different. Mm-hmm. And so it's this crazy time, and you stop thinking about the person you're marrying or why you're getting married in the first place, or does this thing in their family bother you, and that are you worried that your husband is going to be like this thing in that person's family, and that's going to be a scary thing in the future. You know what I mean? Like, you have to talk about those things, and that's where sometimes counseling can help. So like we went through the Catholic sort of wedding.
Yeah, no, the Catholic Church, you basically sit down and have counseling with the priest, right?
No, it was with
I always wonder about that. If a priest has never been married, never been laid, how's he going to give me advice about being married?
It was with another couple from the church, an older couple, and
that makes sense to me. I don't have a problem with that going in.
But they made us bring up stuff like about money, like how do you spend money, and how do you feel about how the other spends money, and that's really important stuff to talk about before, and people don't do that, right? They're like, we're in love and we'll be in love forever and there'll never be anything wrong, and so let's just get married. And then 5 years later, that little seed of annoyance or whatever, like he spends all the money on Xbox games, or or whatever, and then it grows into a plant and it strangles the relationship. Analogy.
Well, there you go. Was it an analogy or a metaphor?
Metaphor.
Bam. What's the difference between an analogy and a metaphor? I don't even know. There must be some difference because it's two different words.
Words.
I interchange them myself.
Wisdom. Okay, let's talk about pubes.
Yeah, let's talk about pubes.
Yes.
Let's talk about pubes.
Baby.
Let's talk about pubes. No, before we went on, this still goes on with the I was telling you.
Yeah.
I don't know how we got into manscaping.
You were shaving in the tub.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Without looking.
I shaved last night in the tub without a mirror. And I messed up underneath here. I got a little thing there.
Underneath your chin. I mean, it's a radio show. Remember, you have to use words. Underneath your chin.
Underneath my chin here.
A little chunk.
And I was saying that, so we got into hair stuff on the body. And I was talking to you. You said, try think how difficult it is to shave my box being pregnant, which we've talked
My
about.
box. I didn't
Your
say box.
Your pregnant box.
Those weren't your words.
I didn't say box.
I think
My
you
box.
I think you said your big old hairy mama box is what you said.
My
If I
mama
could-
box is getting long.
And my point to you was that stuff didn't even occur to me until I was in my mid to late 30s. Like I just thought, what the hell? There's hair down there, blah, blah, blah. But when you get older, hair becomes disgusting. Mm-hmm. And so I started to kind of like shave it on down there. And then you mentioned that you had to tell your husband to cut it back a little bit.
Well, it was, a little wild,
Mr. Brillo?
Beautiful. Beautiful auburn.
So how did you approach that? Like, I love it, but
no, we're cool like that.
Just
I'm
bring
like,
it back a
hey,
little bit.
you should trim that down a little bit next time. Yeah, okay.
Did you suggest a setting? Number 3.
That came
You
up
needed
in the
number 3.
premarital
Yeah.
counseling
Yeah.
with the Catholic Church.
I was crying.
How do you feel about shaving the other's pubes? I'm okay with it. All right.
Yeah.
How do you feel, Autumn?
Shaving each other's pubes? Is it sexual?
Well, how can it not be sexual?
Well, I feel like
Only
it's
girls-
incredibly unsexual.
Only girls could ask if anything having to do with the genitals is sexual. For a man, anything having to do with the genitals
Even the hair?
is yes,
No.
anything. It's impossible to do anything down there without it being slightly sexual at the very least. A man cannot.
You're
trim
going to
that
think about
down.
it. That's the thing. Okay. In your situation, he's helping you out. This is something that just needs to be done.
Right.
Very mechanical, seemingly on the surface, but in his mind, yes, it's crossing your mind. If you're down there and you're a guy, you're at least going to think
He
about
helped
it.
me.
Right.
He helped me, and he said he was like, I kind of like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, see?
Well, you think about
I
it
was like,
when you do it to yourself as well. There's still something you're touching down
no.
there. And man, if you're touching down there, it's sexual to a certain degree. There's
Really?
nothing clinical.
Even in the shower, you're like, yeah.
The only thing, just going to the bathroom is
just-
the only thing that's not sexual to me. But there's plenty of people that it is. Even
Yeah,
that is
yeah.
sexual for them.
Crazy. No, I didn't feel like it was sexual at all.
Well, you weighed 800 pounds and felt like an elephant while it was going on. So,
well, yeah, nothing
I
is
think-
sexual to me right now. But no, if he, I don't know, if he had his arms like out in crutch, like what are these called? Casts out in front of him, like
Mm-hmm.
how sometimes you have to have terrible crutches. Why do I keep saying crutches?
I have no
Cast.
idea. I don't even know why you're. Oh, if you had 2 casts.
Casts, yeah, that had
Yeah.
your arms straight out and he
Oh, it
couldn't
was
like
a
shave.
body cast.
Yeah, I would help him, but I would never think it was sexual.
He would. That's the point. The point is that he would.
I'd be like, really? This is sexual? What if I keep talking like
Anytime
this?
that your hands, well, you can make it non-sexual
Yeah.
by talking like that. You can certainly talk a mood away with that sort
I'll
of
do
thing.
an impression of his mom or something.
But yeah, if he's up there and he's been a body cast for 2 weeks
Yeah.
and you're down there shaving away, you think that's not sexual? To a
Oh,
man,
I'd probably be wiping his butt.
Oh, that's
Poor
not
guy.
sexual.
I would
No.
help him out.
Ooh,
Poor
I would
thing.
not. I'd hire somebody to wipe
Really?
my... No.
You wouldn't
no.
do it?
No.
I would do it.
No.
Poor sweet.
I'd missed what the lead
Had
up.
to change a bandage on
If
my
he-
son's ass once, and it was the worst experience of my
If he
life.
lost both his arms,
Last week?
it was like 8 years ago.
Oh, that's not all right.
if he lost both his arms,
If he had like casts on his arms that kept his arms straight or something, and you
You know,
couldn't-
body cast.
Yeah.
Like all those funny
I
movies.
look. I had a friend who had a seizure, and
Hilarious.
in the process broke both his arms. So somebody was taking care of that for him. I never asked.
It would be a professional. I would hire somebody to come in. Jane, I love you, but I'm going to hire somebody to come in.
Or a bidet. You could get a bidet, I guess.
You still got to get dry, right? Or are you going to use the air?
Have you ever used a
Stick
bidet?
that ass up in the air. I tried once. My in-laws are English. They have
Yeah.
a bidet at the house. I tried. It's weird. It's weird. The water's splashing. It's just
It's
weird.
splashing you?
Well, it's just going up there and it's weird.
No,
Oh,
they're
I
great.
loved it. I loved it so much.
It's so much cleaner than just paper.
I'm not saying it's
Squeaky?
not cleaner.
Got a squeaky butthole.
I've used those
afterwards?
Clorox cleaning wipes before.
Didn't
I
squeaky,
mean, I know they're not made for that, but I was like, it's going to be really clean
Ouch.
after this. No, it didn't hurt.
It didn't? Oh,
didn't Squeaky Butthole attempt to assassinate Gerald Ford at one
I
point?
think so. Are you part of the Mansons or something?
Yes, I think Squeaky Butthole.
Yeah.
She was rough. Hopefully she's still in jail. We were going to do Ask Eric Anything next, but I think what we need to do is try to get Jay Busby on.
The Buzz?
On,
All right,
on.
we'll
The
get-
Buzz.
we'll
Are we
get-
calling him the Buzz?
The Buzz.
What's the
My-
buzz? Tell me what's a happening. What's the buzz? Be tell me what's a happening. Or what's the buzz? Be tell me what's a happening. Or what's the buzz? Tell me what's a happening. Hang on, Jay. We're gonna call you. Hang on, Jay. We're gonna call you. Hang on, Jay. We're gonna call you. We're in a very Jesus Christ Superstar
Yeah.
frame of mind.
And we
We're
can't get
singing
into that
before we
now
went on.
because it's gonna. Yeah, before the show, you're gonna get into that. And Jay Busby's gonna be on the line in a matter of seconds. So
You think
no,
you
no,
we were
Jesus.
trying to kill time.
But
I
imagine,
know,
but
but no-
imagine,
No,
You come online.
JCSS talk right now.
listen, Jesus, to the warning I give.
Ba-na-na-na-na.
Please remember that I want us to live. We are occupied. Have you forgotten?
By the way, my-
how we are?
Now, I remember a time when you used to say, I'll make this quick, that you used to say that musicals were terrible and that you'd be like, this is my impression of a musical. The chair.
Oh,
the
no.
chair. I'm sitting on a chair.
Should I sit? Should I stand?
That was
I
part of
go
the-
over there. But I always liked Jesus Christ Superstar. Always liked West Side Story
okay.
because the music is so damn
Oh,
good.
so good.
That was part of the dumb musical that we are
That's
going
right.
to write. It was set in a department store.
That's right.
And there was a
Oh, really?
customer.
Another-
Should I sit? Should I stand? This one's made of wicker. This one's couldn't figure out which one to
I
buy.
forgot about that. One of the many things we started to write and never finished.
Never finished. By the way,
the musical in a department store. Brilliant.
my mother called 3 times in a row. I assume someone's dead.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I texted back, "Is someone dead?" And then I put a winky face.
Oh.
LOL,
Yep.
which is lots of love to some people.
Oh, I have no clue. Jay's on.
Hey, Jay Busby, Yahoo Sports. How are you, buddy?
I'm not dead. It's not me.
That's very so.
Yay.
We're not. We don't have to worry about you. Did you hear our little song that we're going to put together for you?
I did not hear the song. No, I heard the I See a Chair Before Me musical excerpt.
Yes.
You've got a song for me?
Well, I think that we want to get a thing together where we go, what's the Busby tell me? What's a happening? Or what's the Busby tell me? What's a happening? Or what's the Busby
love it.
tell? You like it? All right, we'll put something together for you. Where
Do
you're
a
at,
little dubstep remix, the whole bit.
Make the beat drop.
you are at Augusta National, are you not?
Not yet. I'm back in Atlanta for the moment. I'm bouncing
Oh.
back and forth, but I will be there in about 5 hours. So yes, I will be amongst the azaleas.
So I'm going to say this about golf. I'm not a big fan of golf on television. I love to be at a golf tournament. It's wonderful on a sunny day to follow a couple golfers around. That's a lot of fun. The only 2 golf events that I find that I watch on TV, I won't even say golf events. The only golf I watch on TV is either happening in Augusta, which is the Masters, or St. Andrews. There's something about those 2 courses on television that make me interested in that weekend. And then I don't watch any other golf. I mean, there's a beauty to watching golf at Augusta National.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Augusta National. If you've never been to it, it's like the Disney World version of golf, and I actually mean that as a compliment. You know, if you've been to Disney World, you've been to you walk through the little European town, you walk through the little frontier land. There's not a thing out of place. Everything is perfect. Everything is pristine. That's exactly how it is at Augusta. There is not a strand of pine straw out of place there.
Now is the big story here is that Tiger Woods will not be participating this time around. Is that
Right.
correct?
Right.
And
That's correct. Yeah.
what's-
First time in 20 years. So
But he's been playing in other tournaments leading up to this, hasn't he? Has he got a bad back? What's going on?
yeah, he had to have back surgery, and he had to have I need to say this very, very carefully, a microdiscectomy in his back, and he's been having all kinds of problems with it, and he finally decided to go under the knife last week, and just made it impossible for him to continue. So, yeah, I mean, in all seriousness,
Is he done?
his career's not in jeopardy, but anything beyond that is in a lot of trouble.
I saw that and I thought, well, I think this guy maybe he's done. And I think what's interesting is it's now been 5 years since his big showdown with his wife and the Ambien and banging the pancake waitresses and all that kind of stuff. Wasn't it like 5 years ago? Wasn't
Yes.
it?
It was
And-
in 4.5, 2009 Thanksgiving.
He's won a few tournaments, but he has not won a major since then. Yet,
Correct.
no matter how good anybody does on any weekend, the story, it seems to me, is always first and foremost, how is Tiger doing? How does he still dominate the sort of psyche of golf when for the most part he's been, an up and down average player for the last 5 years?
Well, he's actually played very well in everything that's not a major. I mean, he's the #1 ranked golfer in the world. He won 5 tournaments last year. But it's when people who are not hardcore golf fans see him, like yourself, he's falling apart. So you tend to think, oh, he's no good. But he's like the old Braves or the Buffalo Bills. He's in the regular season. Then when the playoffs come, he falls short. So that's part of it. But yeah, he's just a fascinating guy because he was so good for so long, and we're still fascinated with him, and nobody's really stepped up to take that spotlight.
Well, that's the problem, right? In his absence, if somebody had gone and won 2 or 3 or 4 majors, then they would become the story. But it's always just somebody gets hot for a weekend and wins something, and then they don't get hot again for 4 more months or something like that. Whereas he used to go on a tear.
That's exactly right. And the guys that win will turn around and have just a horrible collapse the next week. So there's nobody who has any consistency.
Yeah, I thought Rory McIlroy was going to be the next guy, and then he just kind of fell apart a little bit. And he's still around. He's still doing well from time to time. But I'm always rooting for Phil Mickelson. I like him to be there in the final 9 on Sunday, and it always makes it a little more exciting for me when he's there. The Masters is always like one guy. There's like one, usually, not always, but there's usually a guy still in the mix late on Sunday who's like 58 years old. He doesn't.
Yes.
Can he keep on going? And I'm always rooting for that guy, and he always loses, and but it's fun. It's fun. What about the and so, would you want to say something about golf there?
I was just thinking about the green jackets that they win. Do you think at some point it's actually just put in the closet like any other old jacket and it just hangs there?
Yeah, when else do they wear it? It's only to events.
They're not allowed to. It's a great question. They're not allowed to take it off. I mean, I could do a whole entire show on the traditions of Augusta National, but you are not allowed to take it off. You can take it for the first year off of the grounds of Augusta National, and then you've got to keep it there at their place. So you can't just wear it out with no pants or anything like that.
You can't. That's interesting because you eliminate the chances of somebody being caught doing something scandalous while wearing the green jacket.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly. Well, the big story in the green jacket in the last few years, Phil won a couple of years ago, Phil Mickelson, and there's a picture of him pulling up to the Krispy Kreme the next morning wearing his green jacket with his kids at the drive-thru. It's just a great photo.
The only thing worse is if he let his wife wear it. God forbid one of those finds its way onto a woman.
Hey, no, women are allowed now. We do have female members at Augusta National now, do we not?
This is true. We have two.
Condoleezza Rice, I know she's one.
And then the head, I can't remember her name, but the head of Darla.
I know you. The HP girl,
Packard.
Carla.
Yeah, I can't remember her name. I probably should know.
The one who ran for governor of California?
Right, in South Carolina. She's very well connected.
Oh, in South Carolina. Oh, yeah, okay.
Carla White?
Might be.
Is that it? I thought it was Darla, but I should know that. But
so is she a Republican too? They're both Republicans.
Yeah, you
What's
think?
going? So we have women, we just no Democrats
sure.
allowed still. So
Right.
we still have tradition there at Augusta National. Do
Darla Moore?
That sounds right.
Darla Moore? That's who it is. So do these two? So do Condi and Darla have to play together, and that's it? Nobody else? Do they have to play from the man tee?
Stick to your own can.
Yes, there are no women's tees. At
Okay.
Augusta.
So if they want to play,
they have to play there for just as well as the men, and they've got their own tailored green jackets. I've seen them, so they're coming along slowly.
All right. Well, that's very good. I'm glad the ladies are being allowed in. Next thing you know, Jews are well on the way sooner or later.
I would just love to see if Hillary got it, just to see people's heads explode. Just Hillary in a green jacket.
Hillary playing golf, I think would be about the most ridiculous thing I can imagine.
Yeah,
I don't see her as
either.
much as a golfer. Condi, I like Condoleezza Rice. Mm-hmm. I think you could be critical of her record as Secretary of State. She kind of went to a lot of places and nothing changed. But she looked good while she was doing it. And there's never any lesbian rumors, even though she's like in her 60s and never had a husband. But hey, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So you really only have one full woman. No, that was a mean thing to say.
Let it go. NCAA.
I love the gay people. Can I just say that? I love them. I have sex with them all the time. That's how much I love them. So don't come after me and give me your stuff. So the Final Four.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I was really into when it was 64 teams and when it was 32 teams. Somewhere it got down to the 8, and I got busy, and I was going to watch the championship game, and I just kind of didn't. I forgot to. And was it much of a game? By the score, it doesn't seem like it was much of a game. UConn won, what was it, 60-53 or something like that?
Right, 60-54. Yeah, the story with this was the UConn veterans, if a guy that's played for 3 years can be a veteran, versus the Kentucky freshmen, which we talked about last week, the guys that show up, the hired guns that show up for 1 year and then play and then go on to the NBA. And the danger with players like that is that they just freak out on the big stage. And that's exactly what happened. Kentucky was incredibly talented, and they had the ability to beat UConn. But then when it came down to crunch time and they were down 3 or 4 points with most of the second half, they couldn't get it together. They're bouncing shots off the backboard. They're running into each other, making dumb fouls. They fell apart, and I think that's because they were freshmen.
And a lot of people might be thinking, hey, Eric, it's Wednesday. This happened on Monday night. Why are we talking about that? Because, well, the most important championship from the NCAA actually happened last night.
That's right.
And that would be the female champions, and good on UConn. They won both of them.
Look at you. You just won the women back after that Connie Grice comment, and then you bring them right back.
I love the ladies. I love the gays. I like the trans thingy-wingies. I love them all. I love them all.
That's why you don't need to go into your actual thoughts about the women's tournament. So leave it at this.
No. Let's
stop right here.
I may push them away a little bit. Although I think it's look, if you care about UConn, that's awesome. The guys won on Monday. The gals won on Tuesday. That's fantastic. I do believe, and Jay, you can say very little here because you're from Yahoo Sports, and I understand. I don't want to jeopardize anything, but I do think that ESPN acts like and advertises the female Final Four as if people are as interested, and I don't think that they are. And I think that it's kind of a weirdness where ESPN just kind of goes, we're just going to be as excited about the women as the men, but I would love to see the ratings, the difference between – it may have been a little higher this time given the fact that the same school could have had the chance to win both, but I would love to see the ratings, the difference between the male championship game and the female championship. Do you know what those ratings are? I mean, do you have any idea what the differential is there?
I would imagine that it's probably at least a factor of 5 lower. I mean, I honestly agree with you. The ESPN has never found anything that it couldn't hype, unto death. But I honestly don't have a problem with that. I mean, for the people that the only time that I have a problem with is when they start overhyping the little league games. The little kids, and they start screaming about here's Johnny Johnson, and he's a big fan of Pokemon, and they overwhelm these little kids.
Horrible.
But for the women's game, why not? Why not give them a taste of what it's like to be an ESPN celebrity before? Because chances are they're not going to play much, if any, professional basketball. So
well, and even professional basketball, WNBA. Am I wrong or am I right? Because you can put me in my place. The attendance is not good at WNBA, and it's subsidized by the NBA, is it not?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
and the NBA has tried very hard to make it a thing. They'll bring in the women's basketball players to compete alongside the men in all-star games and things like that. It's just it doesn't click, and
because it's team sports, Jay. It's team sports, and here's the thing: it's nothing against women, but when it comes to team sports, the male version of the team sport is going to be a higher level. It's not about sexism. It's about, if I'm going to watch basketball, I want to watch it at its highest level. So I want to watch the best college players play college ball, and I want to watch the best professional players play professional ball, because you don't have this in tennis. Women, I mean, Venus and Serena, and you've had superstars, female superstars in tennis forever, because if you watch the best woman play the second best woman in tennis in Wimbledon, it's exciting. And it's interesting, and so I think that it's not so much sexism. It's just a matter of, if I'm a basketball fan, I don't want to watch female college because high school male basketball is at a higher level. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I would be interested. No one really wants to broach this because of the obvious sexist implications of it. But I wonder what level of male team could beat a female team. You always hear about these stories about, could Alabama beat the Jacksonville Jaguars? And that, obviously that would never happen. Well, what if you cross genders? Could the UConn Huskies beat a WNBA team? I don't know. And I've never seen any real speculation on that, because it's kind of one of those third rails.
Oh, you're saying like the men, the UConn men. I have an answer. I have an answer for that. It wouldn't even be close.
Come on, you don't know that.
I do know that, because it's the kind of thing that, equal rights. I'm all for equal rights. I want everybody to be able to do everything. I think it's a good thing for a girl to be involved in sports. I think it's character building. I think it's all of that kind of stuff. Actually, let me turn it around on myself. Probably women playing basketball at the college level is more like what the college level is supposed to be, which is a student athlete. Because it's the end game for the most part. You go to the NBA, I think the superstars make $70,000 a year for a few years. There's no $1 million contract out there that you're going for. So it's probably, in a sense, it's probably more pure. But it's not basketball. I believe that you could find high school basketball teams that could beat WNBA teams.
What?
Male basketball teams. I do, no doubt.
I'm not sure I'm going to go that far.
Okay, I'll bet you. If
Jay says you're wrong. Jay says you're wrong.
Okay, so he works for Yahoo Sports. He can't step too far out on this.
Well, no. I think it's an interesting, how far. Let's say you put the worst WNBA team, one that finishes 12 and 40 or whatever. Let's say you put them in the NCAA tournament. Do they make the Sweet 16? I don't know. That would be an interesting idea.
No, because they can't. No, because it just.
You're saying the worst? The worst?
Well, that's how you usually do that. But what you do is, like, if you sit, let's take. We got to bring Autumn along with us. But you'll find this interesting.
What? Sports are weird.
So you take the best college football team of men.
Yeah.
And the question has always been, if you take the worst, lately, like the Jacksonville Jaguars have been really the bottom of the barrel in the NFL.
Yeah.
And so the question has always been, if you took the best college football team, could they beat the worst pro?
Oh, I
and
see.
my answer has always been no, because they're at a completely different level. I believe the Jacksonville Jaguars, Buffalo Bills, Cleveland Browns, whoever it is who seems to be the worst in the league would just decimate the college football champions, because
I hear that.
they're not all pros,
Well,
and the game's going at a different speed. So that's what we're doing right now, is we're just taking that same kind of analogy. So you would take the worst WNBA team and match them up against the best high school team, right? Or something.
Why wouldn't you just take the best WNBA team and get the best NBA team?
Because it would not even be. You think Michael Jordan, when
The
he was
best
on
versus the best?
Really?
Yeah, the best and best to see who's the best.
Okay, I'm just going to live here, but I think LeBron alone could beat the best WNBA team. The problem, the thing that people don't want to talk about is it's in the middle with basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, guys can just throw those arms around, and they're more muscular, and they can knock you out. They can box you out, and so you wouldn't be able to get anything done. It would be all three. It'd be long shots.
Well, the height difference. I mean, a dunk in the WNBA is a huge deal. Like, that's shown as a highlight.
Exactly.
Constantly. One dunk, which is not even a spectacular dunk.
Yeah, it's just like she did it.
Yes.
Or it doesn't have to be so divided. It could be that maybe a woman is allowed to be in the NBA and still be an amazing player.
They were talking. Who were they talking about a couple of years ago? That even LeBron went on record. There was a girl.
Yeah, Brittany Griner had talked about it. I mean, the only way a woman could get in to the NBA, and it's not sexist, it's just purely physical, is as a shooting guard. Someone that was out on the wing that would be like a 3-point specialist.
You
that they wouldn't have to get inside.
I know Shaq's not in the league anymore, but I still use him. No woman is going to go down and deal with Shaquille O'Neal, trying to do a layup against Shaquille O'Neal. It's just not going to happen. You have to be from the outside. Women can't be in the NFL. There's no rule against them not being in the NFL. They would just get crushed. Yeah. They would get killed. It'd be like putting a 13-year-old out there. I mean, they wouldn't have a chance. He could be the best 13-year-old in the nation. He wouldn't have a chance. There's one other thing when we're on ESPN. This is the players at Northwestern, in Northwestern football, it was Northwestern, right? Who they wanted to start a union. And somebody in that state at some level of judiciary said, yeah, it's okay for these college football students to start a union. And I don't want to get into that whole debate. My idea, I think that it's a real problem that needs to be addressed. This is not the way to address it, because it will ruin everything, I think, ultimately. But we were talking about ESPN, and can I tell you, Jay, that whenever it even comes up on ESPN, I turn the station, because I don't believe for a minute ESPN is just going to jump on the side of the players blindly. I don't believe that there will be any analysis of whether this is the right way to go, any deep analysis of the problem itself and what can be done. And I'm not into ESPN treating this like Title IX, which is what I think is going to happen.
Well, my entire issue, it's not really an issue with ESPN, is that they do some exceptional work. If you're a sports fan and you enjoy intelligent sports writing, go check out Grantland. It's a great way. It's a small kind of a niche website that they do that's got some exceptional writing. I've got a lot of friends that write for that site and write for other ones. but they have this segment, the loudest segment, the one that the squeaky wheel that gets the grease, is exactly what you're talking about. The braying, simplifying every argument down to one side or the other. It's just, it really, I think it does, and people have said this, it cuts into the brand by having this kind of simplistic yes or no argument style.
Yeah, for me, there's this idea with a lot of sports writers, but ESPN just gets a bunch of the ones that, that are pretty good. But a lot of sports writers in this country seem to believe that modern sports is an extension of the civil rights movement. And I just completely reject this concept. Now, there are things that have happened in sports like Jackie Robinson that were important to civil rights, but I don't see everything as civil rights. And I think that they do. And I think ESPN is going to position this, if you're against the union, you're against the players. And I think this is a very, very complicated issue that takes intelligent people to sort through and can't be done with just blustering. And that's, I feel like, what we're going to get from ESPN. Now, the issue here is the players. Millions and millions of dollars come in to a program. The players get nothing. The coaches get paid $6 million a year. And the players want the right to organize and collectively bargain. Number one, that means that they could decide to strike a week before the Rose Bowl if they were in the Rose Bowl, right?
Oh, yeah.
And
Yep.
Just throw the whole thing into chaos. And I've been a believer in stipends in the past. But there's a problem with stipends, it's the same problem with the unions, which is, okay, if I give a stipend to the scholar athlete on my football program that brings in millions, do I have to give a stipend to the female lacrosse player who's also here on a scholarship, and I get nothing out of it? The football program floats the lacrosse program.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
These are the kind of issues that are there. And so I've pulled back from that, Jay, and I want to sound you out on this. I believe that the answer here is to go back to the absolute fundamentals. The problem with the NCAA when they say they're student athletes and they're getting a free education is that we all roll our eyes and we all laugh because we know that they're taking basket weaving, they're getting coaching to pass tests. They don't have a student's life in college. They have a different schedule and they're catered to. I think that the answer here is to remove the eye roll. If the NCAA would just say, look, you've got to have a C+ average, you have to take real courses, and we'll define what real courses are, and if you don't make the grade, you don't play. And so, yeah, maybe your star running back doesn't make the grade, but as long as your competitor's star running back has to make the grade too, it's all even. Let's go back to them actually being student athletes. Let's go back to them actually getting, when you say we gave a free education at Northwestern to this person, that's worth quite a bit. A lot of people pay for that, but we're all rolling our eyes because we know the student athlete is a joke and isn't real. Why not just remove everything and make the fundamentals difficult again? If every school, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Florida, if all of them had to adhere to these standards, then it would be a fair thing because all of these running backs and receivers that could help you win, they wouldn't be on any team if they weren't willing to keep their scores up. Also, if you're 13 years old and this is your dream, then keeping your grades as high as you can becomes part of the pursuit of that dream.
Here's what I think. I think that when the NCAA delivers those, they should deliver them to each school riding on a rainbow unicorn because that's about as likely as that is to happen.
But isn't that sad? Isn't that sad because it started out as intramural? It started out as student athletes.
Well, it's a great idea in theory. The problem with all of that is enforcement. You've got to have that would require the NCAA to come into each school and sit down because, as we've seen, every school will twist, what's defined as a real class, what's not a real class. Every school will cut around what the NCAA is laying down in order to make sure that running back is on the field.
All right, Jay. Okay, but what needs to happen is the same thing that happens when you find out the player took money and they go back and they remove championships and things like that. Why can't they apply that to grades? Why can't they apply that to the other? Hey, you know what? We found out that Reggie Bush wasn't really going to any real classes, so therefore you didn't win the Rose Bowl that year. Why can't we just throw that in? How hard would it be for the NCAA to have one monitor on every school? To make sure, I mean, how hard is it to say that these 4 courses must be taken, or an athlete can get no help that isn't available to every other student? So if every other student can get tutoring, then the athlete can get tutoring, but he has to do it the way every other student does, which means he can't be at practice today because at 4 o'clock he's got to bring his grades up.
Well, let me throw it, and it's in the ideal. I agree with you. I mean, I'm a big fan of education. I am a big fan of giving these guys every opportunity that they could have. In the ideal, I absolutely agree with you. But let me throw it back to you with my own example. When I was in college, I worked for the student newspaper. Big surprise there, I know. I was not the quarterback of the football team, but I made $2 an hour helping the newspaper design and lay out the ads and all of that stuff. I got paid in college.
Okay.
I mean, and it was because I provided a service. I think that the way to do it is almost to have, I hate to say it, but like a separate class of students, people that are primarily employed by the university.
You're just saying acknowledge it. You're just saying you could say you hate to say it, but that's what's going on now. But the thing is to just actually acknowledge that there's a second class of students.
Oh yeah, exactly. I mean, I hate to say it from the sense that it kind of subverts the entire idea of what education is about. But these guys are not at these schools for education. These guys are at schools to help themselves and to help their pro prospects.
But then what would you do? So would you give a stipend to every? Now, see what's going to happen is would you give a stipend to the lacrosse female student athlete? Well, how do you judge that? I mean, how do you, or what about let's say collective, I assume you're not for the collective bargaining. I could be wrong.
No, because there's so many, you're exactly right. What if somebody decides, does that give them the right to pick up and leave schools halfway through the season, switch schools? So yeah, there are a lot of problems with simply instituting a union. But I think that there is a way.
But what about the guy, hold on, but what about the guy, okay, so you assume that in collective bargaining, if they got that, okay, what about the guy who sits on the bench for 95% of the season? Is he going to make the same as the guy who brings in 15 touchdowns? I mean, it gets so complicated.
You're right. You're right, and that's where you've got. You're exactly right. It's got to be some kind of sliding scale. And I think that there would be revenue generating sports and non-revenue generating sports. You don't pay a ticket to go see a lacrosse game. You just show up there and you have a couple of beers and you sneak in a flask and watch. Whereas you do pay a ticket, or you pay through your student fees to go to a football game. So yeah, there would have to be. It would be incredibly complex, but that seems to me the only reasonable way, just working through the money rather than working through the ideal of education.
Okay, what's the feeling? We got to wrap up, but what's the feeling in I'm not sure how your organization works with Yahoo Sports. I don't know how often you guys have like meetings by Go Meeting or whatever and talk about these kind of things. What is the editorial, like? I would hope, because I don't think ESPN's going to do it, so this is my wish to you, is that Yahoo Sports, to me, even when Yahoo is down, Yahoo Sports and Yahoo Finances were always revered as doing great work. And I would hope that on the Yahoo side of things, that there is some deep analysis here. What is the real problem? What are the potential answers? And what are the pros and cons of those answers? I do think that there is a problem here, but I don't exactly know what the answer. This is the hard part. They say you always have to have something. You can't just say no. I don't know what the exact answer is, but I'm very, very sure that collective bargaining is not the correct answer and will only ruin college sports worse than it's already ruined itself.
Well, I can tell you this. We've got two of the best college sports writers in the country on our staff, and Dan Wetzel and Pat Forty. These are a couple of guys who have a lot of experience in the subtleties. Wetzel wrote a book called Death to the BCS, which, despite its title, was extremely well researched, broke down just the scummy infrastructure of how bowl games work and how the BCS really enriched itself. So these guys take a lot deeper look at it than just the athletes good, college is bad, that approach. So yeah, I think that if you were looking for good analysis, you're in good hands over Yahoo.
Of course, always.
Yes.
And we don't have time to talk about the Braves. They got blown out in their opening night deal last night. Very quickly, how do they look to you so far in the overall?
Surprisingly good. I mean, the pitching is always the concern with them, but it's going to be this all year. But so far, so good.
All right, very good. Jay Busby. Hey, and now I'm gonna wrap it up with that's the Busby, and that's what's a happening. That's the Busby, and that's what's a happening.
There you go.
What if people want to follow you on the tweets, on the Twitters?
On the tweets, JAYBUSBEE, and it'll be mostly Augusta this week, but it should be fun.
Are you
it's
there?
Not going to be all hardcore golf.
Can you join us tomorrow from there, or will you be on your way?
I will probably be out on the course tomorrow, so it's going to be a little tricky for me to do it. I mean, I might be able to do phone, but you and I can text. But I'm not going to have Skype access the way that I do right now.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if your phone will connect. You're not allowed to talk when you're out there, right? Maybe you can go.
Oh, I can't even take the phone out there. No,
wow.
That's hardcore. I'll tell you stories maybe next week about what they do to people.
No,
literally
I'd love to
what
know.
they do.
I would love to know. All right, Jay Busby, Yahoo Sports. Thanks a lot, man. Have a great week.
Sounds good. Talk to you soon.
And we are almost done. Is that correct? I was going to do Ask Eric Anything.
Now we still have 15 minutes because we started late.
We started
Oh,
late. Very
good.
good. Well, this is very good because we're going to do Ask Eric Anything. And Greg and I created a little theme for Ask Eric.
I'm so excited.
Well, it's a little. We sent it out to a production house, and they kind of goosed it up for us,
Wow.
giving it a lot of flavor.
Did
So-
some copy.
Professional.
Yeah, we did some copywriting here and just wrote down some notes, sent it to them, and
sent it to them, and that's what they brought back to us.
Wow.
Yeah. It's okay to know nothing, 'cause it's time to ask Eric anything.
Yay!
Wait, stop that.
Oh, I'm so
There's
sorry.
still debris falling. Okay, now the jingle is officially.
I love it so much.
That's Greg Russ on piano.
virtual
That was
piano.
Elton John.
I
So
know.
how does the
So good.
how does the hashtag work? Is it forever now? So we have the hashtag Ask Eric Anything, and people can always use that to.
Yeah, of course. On
Still,
Twitter,
we
yeah,
haven't-
you can always, if you ever are just walking around in your town and you're like, why are the birds singing?
Mm-hmm.
And you wanted to ask Eric this question, you could always just tweet it on your phone. Just put the hashtag Ask Eric Anything.
And it'll come to us.
Yeah.
People don't respond so much to us on Twitter as we
Yeah,
get
we
on
got a
Facebook. We got a
lot.
lot on Facebook and
Yeah.
not so much on Twitter.
Yeah.
But go ahead and after a great jingle like that,
I know.
it puts
so
a lot of
good.
pressure on us to actually have a good segment here.
Well, what kind of question would you like? Would
I
you
want
like?
you just. I don't want to know. I don't want anything. You just throw it at me. You just throw it. What kind of question do you want to ask me?
Mary Shoemaker Riley says, "How big is the universe?" Period.
You mean the period that the universe has?
Just
Huge.
universe.
It's a deluge of
No,
blood.
no question mark. Just.
How big is the universe?
I know the answer.
I was going to say.
Okay,
is
you
this
ask
Ask
Eric
Autumn anything?
Well,
Get
this
your-
is Ask Everybody.
Get
really.
your own fucking hashtag, huh?
Yeah, shit. Go ahead.
The universe is as big as your imagination.
Oh,
How about that?
so nice.
Nobody knows how big the universe is because the universe means everything, right? But now we start talking about multiverses, and to me, it's like, well, how can that be? It's kind of a strange term, the universe. I was listening again to my audio book, Parallel Worlds by Kaku, and Kaku.
Uh-huh.
And
Is
they
that how
go
he
in-
speaks.
and he talks an awful lot like they talk about trying to find a theory of everything, and I feel like they should be saying theory of everything we can sense. Like, we don't know. Just because you think you've explained everything you can see or sense or detect doesn't mean you've explained everything, because there's a very good possibility in my mind that we're a wheel inside of a wheel inside of a wheel inside of a wheel inside of a wheel. So therefore, you never know how big everything is given your own size. So that's why I say the universe is as big as your imagination.
Who knows what it is,
wow.
Autumn? Our senses are just instruments that provide input for our brain, which then creates this universe.
Yeah.
Wow, you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible.
I asked Travis this question, and he answered with a number.
Nerd.
Well, the known universe. I think you should at least say the known
Oh,
universe.
okay.
What we're trying to detect
Okay.
is whatever 13.5 billion light
Yeah.
years across
Yeah.
would be the technical answer.
I wish Mike was here.
But my point is that you don't know that that's all that there is.
Yeah, I know. what you
I
mean.
was reading some stuff last year that said that they're detecting that what we know of everything, what we would call everything, is actually being towed by something else, or if not
A
towed,
tugboat.
it's being
Because that's why we're falling.
Well,
like,
no,
why
that's
we're-
within us. What they found out while doing other experiments and other things is that everything in the universe is traveling in the same direction at a million miles an hour or something like that. And the only reason that would be is because this universe is being attracted gravitationally or something else to something else. So outside of it, but then how can you even say outside of the universe? Because to me, if there's a multiverse, you'd have to put all those together and call that the universe. So it's a weird thing with terms,
Okay.
I believe.
All right.
Mary Shoemaker Raleigh.
Who's to say what the universe is? Because in the courtyard, in my apartment in New York, there's barbed wire and the dividing wall between my building and the other one, and then nails like cemented
Sounds
on top
awesome.
of the. Yeah, that's a New York days gone by. But on the barbed wire, someone hung a string of lights, and the lights are bulbs, and they've obviously been there a long time. So within those bulbs, over the years, water has gotten in, and I like to think that those are little universes. The water's in there, and then
There's probably some sort of bacteria.
yeah,
or
life
something
is
in
formed in there. And
Well, that's the wheel within a
and
wheel
I-
within a wheel. You just don't know.
and I could take one of those bulbs, smash it, and destroy that universe. So
Yeah.
at any moment, we could
Somebody
just be
You have so much
stepped
power.
on. We could be stepped on here. We wouldn't know.
Yeah.
It would just happen.
Yeah, I mean, and what you're getting to is that the whole thing also could very well be an illusion, some sort. We don't know. We just don't know.
Projection, that thing, or
the thing that I
What is it
That's-
called? Hologram.
well, the hologram thing. Then when you get to that, seems ridiculous, but there is some mathematical, logical evidence that it's an actual not a hologram the way that we think of it, but the
Right.
principles of a hologram being used. But the thing you have to remember, and I know I've said this to you and Greg a million times, but I think most people don't think about it. You have to start from the point of view that there is no light inside of your head. Everything that you're perceiving is being broken down into zeros and ones or whatever and retransmitted, and you actually don't, you've got these cameras in your eyeballs that look out there and they can only see what they see. But
Well, and they're
ponder
only-
on that
yeah.
for a while. There is no light inside of your head. So when you start there, getting to it being an illusion becomes a lot easier.
Right. Well, and what we see is.
Don't you think?
No, I'm just laughing because since I'm working the cameras here, like ponder on that. And Autumn's just staring blankly at her computer screen, and she's right.
Well, one
Well,
thing
because I understand what you're saying.
I got to say about Autumn today is she's actually that little rascal up inside her gullet is causing her some trouble. So
Oh, it's been okay actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were in
No, but
real
I was
pain.
just thinking about. Well, I'm thinking about a lot of things. Thinking about the next question, and I'm also thinking about what you're saying, and I'm thinking about like.
see, not so easy to host and run a segment, is it?
Oh, it's so hard.
Imagine Michael and Greg showing each other videos while you're trying to think of all this stuff.
I would be a professional and ignore it.
You're a better man than me, lady.
No, because when you take in the information, like in a room or when you're walking, you're only taking in bits, and your brain is filling in the
Yeah,
rest.
yeah.
So,
Our brain, and also
what
our,
are you missing?
Our brain always tells us there has to be a story.
Right.
That's why when you dream,
Right, it connects
when
it
you
all
dream,
together.
you think it all makes sense while you're doing it. Oh yeah, of course I'd be on Mars and then be in the
Right.
mall. Of course, because the brain has a way of putting a narrative on everything, and that's what we want to do to the universe and reality and everything is figure it out. We'll never be able to figure it out. We will never be able to answer the question, well, what happened just before that? Whether just before that is the creation of God or the Big Bang.
Right.
Or whatever. If we do decide that we found out what happened before the Big Bang, the next question is, well, what happened before that?
Right.
Our brain cannot handle infinity
if we
in
find
both
God,
directions.
then who created God?
Right. How is answer me that? It's the
Answer
same.
me that.
It's the same question as what happened before the Big Bang.
Yeah.
And our brains do not have the ability because our brains are like a radio dial. The frequencies are multitudinous, and we can only pick up from 88 to 107 or something, and everything outside of that range. And what we see, hear, feel, taste, all that is such a minuscule part of what's really going on.
Right,
But I will tell
right,
you this: I have no evidence for it.
Okay.
I believe that everything is in the same spot. I really do. I think depth and all this kind of stuff is perception is a really weird thing, and I think that everything is basically in the same spot
That kind of plays into the holographic theory, doesn't it?
to a certain degree.
That everything is just.
Well, you understand.
What's that?
Rock and roll.
Sounded good.
That's just Paige that decided to start playing. I didn't like
Yeah.
your theory
That happened.
of everything
move on.
being in the same
Now
spot.
you understand the holographic theory better than I do. You've
No, I mean
looked
it's
at it a little more than
difficult.
I do.
It's difficult to explain. I'm not that well versed in it. I kind of understand it, but to put it in words
well,
articulated.
basically everything that you're perceiving has been. It's
everything
digitized
everything
is the wrong
exists
word, but it's-
everywhere in one place at the same time because there's great distances in space, and they see things communicating like particles who are communicating over great distances, which shouldn't be allowed because the laws of physics don't allow it. So basically, maybe it's the same particle, and it's just all about the point of view and the perception of things.
That's right. That's right. And which leads into the holographic thing. And I think going back to what you're perceiving not being the real thing, it goes back to this old thing. Like I could never know what red looks like to you, and you could never know what red looks like to me. What we know is they're close enough that we both call it red. but we can never know how you're perceiving it. We're not seeing exactly the same way because we have different cameras, we have different eyeballs, we have different systems of putting that stuff together.
And it's not just pure information going into your brain. It's also going through your experiences and your past, and your history.
Everything, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Which that gets into the physiology of the whole thing as
Right,
well.
but that's I mean, part of it.
So
Anyway.
it's like when you and I argue about Beatles songs. We both love the Beatles. You hate While My Guitar Gently Weeps. I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, how could she not? But the truth is, we're not hearing the same exact thing.
Yeah.
And then put it through the physiology and experiences and types of songs we've liked before, but we don't like it. All of that. We're not when we're arguing about something, we're never really arguing about the exact same thing.
Sure.
So that's
Well, yeah, you could get some information about, the Big Bang or something, and I could put it in a God metaphor, and you could put it in through a science metaphor.
No, but I mean just in the tactile, just
But that-
in the
yeah,
actual.
macro,
we are
micro.
actually not hearing the same song.
Sure.
Whenever the same way we're not seeing red the same way, and that's where these little disagreements happen, and wars get fought over this kind of stuff. So another one. We don't have much time.
Yeah, Matt Talley. He says, I know EVH is trying to raise $50K for the Driving and Crying documentary because they're making him pay for the music rights. But is the documentary coming out definitely, even if he doesn't raise the money? And what happens then? Does that mean he has to pay the difference himself for what was not raised?
Yes. Yes and yes. No, the movie is at the
Yes and yes.
At the very least, we're going to put the movie on DVD, and now people are asking me about Blu-ray, which for some reason we had not really thought about. And now I'm thinking about that as like, do people actually buy DVDs anymore?
I know.
Do they only buy Blu-ray?
I do
Is
not
it
buy anything.
more important for it to be on Netflix and Amazon anyway? Because that's how most people get this stuff. But one thing at a time. DVD/Blu-ray. This is what we're going to do. I will have to eat, Shanxing Films will have to eat in the beginning any difference between what I raise and what we've paid for these. We paid for the copyright issues. I got an email from Quincy Jones, and an actual thing that has a paid stamp on it. I've paid for this stuff, but out of in a loan sense, I've paid to have this done. The company has taken a loan to pay for that, and so what we don't get, $50,000 covers the cost of the material, the copyrighted material, plus the cost of turning it around and getting it on DVD and doing all these other things. So as much as we raise goes against what we're already on the hook for is the answer. This is going to happen. This is a terrible way to pitch. If I only make $1 more on Indiegogo, this is going to happen. There's no danger that we don't reach the 50,000 and you don't get your DVD.
Right.
So that's the way that it is.
We're trying to...
So, and you should go to Indiegogo. I was going to say that. Indiegogo.com. Look for Scarred But Smarter.
We're 10th of the way there.
Life and Times
All
of...
right.
10th of a way, over halfway through the campaign.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to make 50,000, but I think that, my thing now is let's make as much as we possibly can to defer these costs. But the answer is this movie is going to be in the hands of everybody who gives money, no doubt about that, and will be available in DVD or Blu-ray form in some sort of store, and then we go on to getting it onto Netflix, Amazon, and that once it gets on there, right, it lives there forever.
You know what you really should do is we should be finding like music podcasts and asking to come on their podcast, and you could like...
Well, Two Faces Radio is one that I
or
like a lot.
documentaries, or like a movie podcast.
No, you're right. We should cross. I was thinking about the other day. We should try to cross over.
It wouldn't It wouldn't take that.
But I wish everybody would go there and just look. There's 4 or 5 videos there. I'm very proud of. You can see what you're giving money to. I'm not hiding anything back. There's a couple of 6 to 8 minute clips from the movie. I mean, you see what the movie looks like.
Right.
And by the way, it's damn good. And I wouldn't say that if I didn't believe that. I mean, it took me a while to get good at this. If you ask me about the video that I made for the band, I don't think it's so good. And I'm honest about it. But that was the first thing that I did. And maybe it's good that it wasn't so good because that made me double up on the movie. And I don't know what is weird about my brain that it was easier for me to make an hour, over an hour and a half movie than it was for me to make a 5-minute video.
We have to squeeze a lot in, maybe.
Yeah, it's weird. But
Yeah.
so I'm being honest with you. I don't think the video I made for the band is very good. The movie is very good. And I'm very proud of it. And so go to Indiegogo.com, look for Scarred But Smarter, and at the very least, check out the videos that are there and the samples of the movie. I want to get this out there so people can have it, and also so I can move on with my life.
Sure.
Maybe just a little bit.
Yeah.
Want to do one more?
Yeah.
Do we have time to do one more?
Sure.
All right.
Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
I've been working on the railroad all the little long day.
I'm trying to think of something that would be.
Yeah, something you don't need to. Where the fuck is this airplane? How about that one?
Yeah.
Jesus.
What is everybody's problem with jorts? You have an old pair of jeans, but you need a pair of shorts. You cut the legs off, boom, shorts. I don't see a problem with that.
That sounds to me like a
This is from
commentary.
Matt Talley.
Again.
Do we have problems with jorts? A collective problem with jorts?
I don't think we've ever
come up.
talked about it, but I sure don't
do.
like jort. Yeah, exactly.
I do,
have a
but
problem with
I don't
They
think
look
it's ever come up on the show.
terrible.
Yeah, I don't
They
think it's
look
ever come up on
terrible.
the show, though.
It's a funny thing about fashion, if you can call that fashion. Anything you put on your body's fashion, I suppose. When I was growing up, the jean shorts, forget about jorts. The jean shorts seemed very
Wait,
cool.
jean shorts are jorts, right?
No, jorts.
they-
Jorts are when you take long pants.
You create them yourself.
You create
That's
them yourself.
shants.
What?
Whatever. You can let's
What are
agree,
Shorts and
let's agree on
pants are
this.
shants.
Let's
Jorts are jean shorts.
Can we agree on this?
Oh, I thought
Sometimes you can buy jean shorts.
it
from
was
a-
jeans that were cut into shorts.
Sometimes
Let's
you can
see.
buy jean shorts that are made at the manufacturer,
That
and
were made for the
sometimes you
shirt.
can create them yourself from your
Yeah.
old jeans that have holes in them. Either way, what I'm saying is, growing up, I thought jean shorts were just fantastic. It never occurred to me that they looked horrible. And then all of a sudden, I got to a certain age, and I'm
Yeah.
like, that looks really stupid, and I'm never going to do it again. I don't know what age I was, where I think I was like 33 or something. I just said, that looks ridiculous, and I'm never going to do it again. But you know what? I'm not a fan of shorts. They sure do feel good, but it's kind of idiotic to not have half your pant leg there.
You think maybe that you look silly in shorts, but
I think
you would
everyone
not.
kind of looks
I have
silly
not
in shorts.
worn shorts in 6 years, maybe 7. I just deal with the summer. You just deal with it.
No
it's not
way.
that big of a deal. Yeah.
It looks good. Shorts
No, it
can
doesn't.
look really
What, I
good.
cannot find a stylish short out there. They're plaid, or they have cargo pockets,
no,
or they're,
something-
Well, the
they're
cargo
too
pockets
short,
are terrible.
or they're too long, or they have those tassels at the end where you can tighten them.
And those
I
sports
don't-
idiots who always do like the jock type guys, like the idea is that they're supposed to look bad and make everybody look fat. I mean, I don't know. I don't get the whole thing.
Well, those ones that are too long, and so
too
you just
long,
see
and
their
it's just-
skinny
yeah,
little
it
ankles
just-
sticking out like little birds.
And then what kind of socks do you wear with
Yeah.
shorts?
No
I don't even
show
know.
socks.
No socks. Then
No,
you're
no show socks.
Right, the little things. That's the only thing you can do.
Ankle type.
Or,
I don't have any of those, and that means I would have to invest in those.
I would tend
I feel
to
weird
agree
in
with you,
shorts.
but Travis looks good in some shorts.
That's
well, he
always
has the
Travis,
legs of the
Travis.
dancer.
I know.
I'm beginning,
Travis is the model for the world.
I'm
If it
starting-
it's great for Travis. It's good for Travis.
He's
Everyone
got
should
nice
do it.
legs.
I'm starting to get to the point, and it can never set in but I'm getting a little bit that way about short sleeve button-up shirts.
Oh,
They're just starting to
no.
look ridiculous to me. I don't know.
What
It just-
kind? Dressier? Because I wear plenty of short sleeve button up shirts.
I'm not going to get. I know I'm wrong on this, but I'm starting to just feel. It just to me, it's like, where's your sleeve? I don't.
I mean, if it's
it's just weird.
if it's
not-
dressier, if it's a short sleeve dress shirt, no way,
Right.
you don't do that. But there's plenty of casual button up shirts that are short sleeve
I'm
with
not
designs on them.
I'm not anti, but I think I'm starting to head in that direction.
By the way,
Catch
to-
me in a decade, I probably will be anti.
With the jean shorts, I know I pretty early on, and I don't even know why. Probably 17. I was like, those are the worst. But I'll tell you what really cemented that idea. Going to 96 Rock and the
Oh.
program director.
I think that was it for me too.
Yeah.
I think that was it for me too. The program director there. We don't have to use names.
no, I know.
But then he started bringing in people that he used to work with in Alabama or something. I don't know what happened.
They were
But
all
this
wearing
whole-
jean shorts.
This whole group
Yeah.
of people wore jean shorts and Doc Martens, and half of them had ponytails, and one of them had really bad dandruff. So it just turned me off completely to the concept of jean shorts. This like
Well, because I was relatively young then. I was like, I don't want to grow up to be that guy. I don't want to be him.
pathetic.
You look at that, and it has a real impact.
No, those shorts looked bad. I think
Yeah.
jean shorts on men are bad, especially the jorts, which are like.
Cutoffs. We used to call them cutoffs.
I know, but see,
when I was a
but
kid.
like on a girl, I think it's okay.
Well, yeah, well, on a girl,
As long as they're not too short and the
First of
pockets
all-
aren't showing underneath, like Daisy
Oh,
Duke
yeah.
type, that's like ridiculous.
But it doesn't matter. Anything can look good on a girl if the girl looks good.
Yeah, that's true.
So it doesn't apply. Women can get away.
All right,
with
so no,
things
only
that-
for guys. So jorts, no good.
Yeah, I
But
just don't think-
shorts are not
I just
that
don't think-
bad.
Well, I mean, overall shorts. That's my own personal thing.
Right.
I like if you're going swimming. Obviously, you're not going to wear long pants. There's a reason to put on shorts.
It's an awesome picture of Travis.
Yeah,
Shorts.
yeah, okay, he looks good. What do you want me to say? He's a goofball. Who poses like that in shorts.
We're jumping. It's awesome.
I love you guys. You're just. I can't wait for the weight of the world just to crush you.
Nerds.
You're having so much fun.
We're waiting. We're waiting for the piano to fall.
Well, it's going to.
It's been 5 years,
fall
I
out of
think.
your
4.5,
vagina in a few weeks.
5 years.
Speaking
Have
of
you been that long?
I think so.
Wow.
I know. With my, I feel like with my previous boyfriend that we were together for like 5 years.
I thought that was like 10 years.
It seemed like it
Yeah.
because it was boring. God bless him.
Aw, he's a nice guy.
He is
You
a
have
nice
to go
guy.
after him.
Was.
Remember, you had to convince me that he was a nice guy because I didn't like him at first. And
Well,
now
I know a
turned
lot of people
around,
feel like that.
And I was. Then
Turns
now
out.
you're like, oh, he was boring or whatever.
Well, he
He didn't want him. He was one of those guys that you wanted to say, you know, fish or cut bait, shit or get off the pot. He
yes.
wouldn't, you know. He was kind of a dreamer, a little bit of a dreamer.
Yes, he was.
Well, after 5 years, I think that's a long time. If you're
And he-
still if you're
yeah.
inactive after 5 years, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Definitely. And he wanted me to like move away with him and to follow him on his dream. And it was
Yeah,
like,
I've heard.
why would
Where
I
did
do
he want to
that?
move? Where is he moving?
he wanted at first. I mean, at first it was like he wanted me to move to Maine.
It's
so that-
always these. I mean, okay, Maine's not completely removed from the world.
This
but
is different
but
from what
it
you're
is-
about to talk about because I know you're about to talk about. He was thinking about being involved in the military or something, right?
Yeah.
So where they would move would have to do with that.
Okay.
Not so much like I want to go live
Well,
on a farm.
just
in Maine.
quickly, and it's boring
Yeah,
because
yeah.
no one else knows. But I had a roommate who she started dating a guy who was kind of the same way as this guy, and he was following his dream, and he just wanted to write his crappy poetry on his typewriter. Click clack. I see every woman, and I want to have sex with her. That's basically what his poetry was. And he was a musician, so he went to Tivoli, New York, which is a small town up the Hudson River. Like there's nothing there,
Right.
and he was a groundskeeper for someone. And she went with him, and that's fine. That's her choice. And then one day he just didn't want to be with her, and that's fine too.
He didn't want to be with her.
Yeah, and that's fine too.
But
That's
she's
that's
stuck
his
in
choice.
some shit towns.
Well, but she decided to stay, and then
right.
there's like very few people here, like one bar in the town,
Right.
and she started dating another guy, and he gets word of this, and he goes every time she go out with someone, he would show up at the bar because there's nowhere else to go, and
There's
he'd
only one
sabotage
bar.
it. I don't
Yeah.
want to be with you, but you're not going to be with anyone else. And I'm not saying that your guy would have done that,
She
but
needs to leave and
she's gone.
go to the big city. By the way, that thing that you just mentioned reminds me of one of the most not embarrassing moments of my life, but it was a thing where you see other people looking at your actions and you're like, oh, I know what they're thinking. So about this time, I had to give you $500 for something. I mean, you were doing something for me, and I had to give you $500. So we meet at an Olive Garden. I don't know why.
No, it was like somewhere. It was like a.
Oh no, it was that other place that went out of business, like Hudson Grill or something like that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
so we're there and we're in a booth, okay? And so Autumn is having she's talking to me about
crisis.
this. She's in a crisis moment. And so first thing we sit down and there's people, the place is packed, and I hand her $500. And then whisperingly, she starts telling me the story about how this guy wants her to go to Maine. And I'm like, you know what? If you dig the guy, people move around, whatever. So she starts crying at this booth. And I'm looking, I'm thinking, okay, I'm an old man. She's younger. I just handed her $500, about the average cost of an abortion. Right. And she starts crying. And I just know everyone else in the Hudson Grill has developed this narrative of what's going on because she was really crying. It wasn't like she couldn't stop herself. She was like really crying. I've dealt with your crying quite a bit.
I'm a emotional human being.
I cried to you once on the phone. Do you remember that?
No, when?
Wow, I'm glad you forgot it. Jeez, it was really embarrassing.
Really? What
Yeah.
was it for? I forgot.
I'm embarrassed.
Oh no.
It was when I found out that I had to go get back together with Larry.
Oh.
The first time. In 2004.
You cried?
I had this dream for the Mad Pundit, and I thought
Right.
that's behind me, and it was just really the second time I went back, I was just like, oh well, you got to make money. But the first time, I was on the phone with you, and I kind of broke up because we tried to start this thing,
Yeah.
and it didn't work, and
Yeah.
it really, I really wanted that to work, even though looking back on it, I did nothing that would have helped it work. But at the time, I really wanted it to work, and I wanted to move on.
Right.
But
Aw.
I'm glad you don't remember.
I
that.
kind of don't. I'm sorry. I feel bad that I don't remember.
I don't. I'm glad you don't.
Oh, okay.
Because I always thought you saw me as a pussy since then. So, like, hey,
No,
buddy,
it's good.
get
You should
together.
show emotion like
Yeah,
that. It's
you know,
good.
cry because you got a paycheck. It's okay to know nothing, because it's time to ask Eric anything. Wait, there's still debris. All right, I guess.
Greg, this is a moment where, if somebody died, you never got to say this to somebody. I'm so glad that you're here on the show. I feel like stuff like that wouldn't happen, and it's so funny and amazing.
What's that look, Eric? Why are you
That-
giving me that look?
That was completely my idea. You and you didn't say that. You
It
didn't
was
say-
totally your idea?
I don't know, Greg.
That was not totally his idea. He couldn't have done it without me.
I couldn't have done it without you. I'm
I
going to
s-
get into this. I'm glad Greg's here too.
I'm sorry. I
No.
didn't,
No,
I
you
didn't
don't have to
know
be
that.
No,
sorry.
do you think he could have built that? And do you know what laid the groundwork for that? Me
What?
playing the piano that one day, making you
That's
guys
right. No, you're
sing
right.
a theme.
You're
That's what
right.
I do. I lay the
You're right.
foundation and then you build on it.
You're right. You're
you
right.
just be building on sand without me.
You're
and
right.
Your structures
Maybe-
would
I'm glad
fall.
you're here. I'm very glad you're here. Don't get me wrong. I'm sorry I was petty there. I was
I'm going back
being
to New York
petty.
next week.
It wasn't. It couldn't have been done without you either, though, Eric, because
no, I
you
don't
sounded
need
really
that.
funny saying
I
you
don't-
Eric anything.
I was thinking in Greg's style. There's no doubt about that
Yeah,
because I
yeah,
knew
yeah.
that he would make that really good, really funny. That
It's
piece of
teamwork.
shit.
It's teamwork,
It's
Autumn.
teamwork.
We work well together. We made a
true.
hell of a film over the weekend for Bjorn Fowler. We
Yeah.
work well together, I think. I mean, fucking drives me crazy. Always with the, hey, go ask your neighbor for more pain pills. But, you know, I got to deal with that. But
Always with that.
They've got a supply, I think. I don't know where it comes from. I don't want to
Someone
know.
has a back problem.
Anyway,
he's a junkie. Do you realize this?
yes.
He's a junkie.
Look
He's-
at this.
when
Look
he
at this
gets-
junkie face.
When he gets his mind set on, I want a Percocet, it's nothing.
Junkie face.
It's like a serial killer getting his mind set. Tonight's the night for victim number 7. I mean, he never stops thinking about it. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. We're not going to have him very long. You ever hear of Peaches Geldof?
She did. She?
She. Who
Okay.
else died of pain pills?
Uh,
Somebody else recently died of pain
What's his name?
pills.
John, 3 names.
John that comedian we were talking about on Seinfeld.
They're idiots. That's why.
Yeah, that guy.
Mixing them with booze
Benet.
and
Yeah.
Ambien
Panay.
and Xanax.
Panay.
They're mixing too much.
Panette.
You mix too much, you die.
Oh, so you're the smart one. See, you're the guy who says, I can dabble in heroin. I'm smarter than the
No.
other people. I can do crack a
no,
couple of times.
I've never
I'm
said that.
smarter than
I've
those-
never said that. Heroin I stay away from because if I knew what it was like, I would love it.
Why don't you go back to marijuana?
I hate it.
No way.
It's nothing.
Why
There's
don't you just-
nothing
Not as
fun
bad
about
as
it.
pills,
Why don't you
though.
just stick
No.
with the booze?
I can
Yeah, what about
function.
booze?
No, that's dirty. It feels like a dirty high being drunk, and then you're
loves
hungover.
He loves the Percocet. Like if you get him, like
I love the alcohol.
If you get him Vicodin,
Yeah.
he's okay, it'll do. He loves the Percocet.
This comes up quite often.
The
People are
Percocet
really think that I
messed
have
me up.
a feeling of warmth just comes over your
See,
body.
that's what I felt the first time I took it. For actual pain. I was like, oh, yeah.
and then
this
dopamine is
awesome.
released. It's like a
But then
half-hour-long orgasm.
But after that, I never got back there. It never did the same thing. It got rid of the pain,
Yeah.
and then I would take a little bit
Well, that's
more.
because you were taking it for the real reason.
But then
You get back
afterward,
if you had zero pain and you had a couple of those pills
That's
left
what-
over, like 4 months from now, and you just took one night and drank a little wine with it.
yeah.
As
See,
long as
mixing.
you lived,
there
you'd
you
love
go.
it.
This mixing. This idea of mixing. Drink some wine with it.
I took
That's why
2
people
Vicodin.
die.
I took 2 Vicodin and drank a glass of wine once years ago.
Yeah.
Oh
Ooh,
my
that's-
goodness! It was as if me and the couch became one. I mean, a nuclear bomb could have exploded, and I would have been like, yeah, man.
Anyway, you
Anyway.
bring this up like I really am a junkie. What if there's a prospective employer listening? Like, that guy.
Hey, he said, look out.
This show is for entertainment purposes only.
That's
Yes,
right.
there
We
you go.
make it
There's
all
the
up.
disclaimer.
I
Oh,
never manscaped. I believe in God.
it's
all
not made
made
up. It's not
I'm
made
not
up.
really pregnant.
She's not even pregnant. It's a pillow.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-da. Entertainment.
Her dad's a Santa Claus. He knows how to make yourself look fat. You know,
That's real.
uses
That's the only thing
prosthetics.
that we've said on the show that's real.
That your
Is
dad
that my
is.
dad is a Santa Claus.
He's a
That's
Santa.
it.
Oh boy, he lives it too. Like,
Oh, I
every
didn't-
time you see him, he's really adopted that persona.
I didn't.
That's good.
By the way, because we have these new T-shirts, we can save it for another show. My marketing idea for them, but we'll save it because I want to go in more depth.
Okay. We should mention Patreon.com. Become a part of the show. If you buy anything from Amazon, go to ericvonradio.com. Click through our Amazon link. Takes you only a second. No skin off your back. And guess what? We get a little bit of the money for you buying whatever you bought. We are going to figure out how to get these new T-shirts. The bumper stickers are awesome.
Yeah.
And we'll get I'm not going to sell the bumper stickers. I think
Give
that's
them away.
cheap.
Yeah.
It's cheap to sell bumper stickers. But what we'll do is we'll put a couple in with every order for a T-shirt, and we'll get them out there in other
nice.
ways. Just give us a few days, and we'll figure out how to get a store up and running. So there you go. I'm sorry, Autumn Fisher. What if
Yeah.
people want to get in touch with you?
You can find me everywhere. Otto Pritz, Pritts.
We should know Michael's stuff. He's going to be appearing in
Big
lots
Man
of places.
Mike on Twitter,
Actually-
inmyownhead.com.
There you go.
And
he's appearing all over the place all the time.
yeah.
And
He's driving home right now on 95. On 95. So
Once
if you
he's
see
taking
him-
the scenic route going
Is
through
he in his-
Virginia.
is he-
So he will be on tomorrow's show then.
Yeah, he'll be
Yes.
back.
Okay, very
Is
good.
he in his orange car?
Of course, everything's orange with that guy. Burnt orange. Burnt orange Mike, they call him. Greg Russ, Are you gonna be? What are you gonna be doing? Sleeping in that?
Breaking into your neighbor's house. That's as soon as the show's
I'm
over.
not a junkie.
Going over.
So you'll be sleeping once again in your morning show with Eric Von Hessler shirt.
Wearing it again tomorrow.
Very, very good. That was the morning show with Eric Von Hessler. We will chat with you once again tomorrow morning. Goodbye. Leave for now. Go away. You're no longer welcome. You can come back tomorrow.